Welcome to OutKick the Tailgate. We are live from Nashville, Tennessee. Guys, you're home. Jill Savage, Chad Withrow, Jonathan Hutton, 6th and Peabody. I feel like you need to do the introduction because this is where you guys do your show from. I don't know if I can do it justice the way that he can.
Chad, we are live. We are back at 6th and Peabody with Yeehaw Beer, Old Smoky Moonshine, and a great SEC game day on tap today.
To steal a line from the great Brent Musburger, you are looking live right now at 6th and Peabody. A terrific venue. Had fun here yesterday with our OutKick 360 show. Looking forward to a terrific show today with an unbelievable guest list throughout the show. We're excited about that.
Country music stars for you, and also a lot of football talk. Country music, we have Hannah Dasher, Michael Ray, Kix Brooks, you might have heard of him. Football guests, Albert Hainsworth, Andrew East, Clark Lee, Barton Simmons, Trent Dilfer. A packed show for you today, but guys, we're going to have some great guests. Our guests are way better than the football slate this weekend. There's not a lot of great games that are out there. I think that we want to dive into your game first, Tennessee and Alabama. We're anticipating all of our injuries to kind of come back for your Tennessee Vols. So they might not lose by 25 points, but they still not going to win the game.
What a sales job by Jill, by the way, on the day. You're saying that Kix Brooks is slightly better than Wake Forest Army? Maybe, yeah, I would say so. I'd say so. But, yeah, it looks like Hendon Hooker is going to play today for Tennessee, which is a nice development. Tyon Evans, who didn't go last week against Ole Miss, he appears to be back. Cooper Mays, starting center, could be back for Tennessee. Does that make this thing more interesting? I think the answer is yes. It makes it more interesting. Does it ultimately make the game interesting in the fourth quarter? I highly doubt so. If it's a game in the second half, that's a win for Tennessee. Bama's a 25-point favorite for a reason, Hutton, and that reason is they're much better than Tennessee right now. But I do think that Hendon Hooker, if he's mobile, we don't know the extent of the knee injury he suffered at the end of the Ole Miss game. If mobile in this game and able to run, I think Tennessee's going to be able to move the ball some in this game.
Well, they're banged up. That much we know. They were paper thin before kickoff last week against Ole Miss. I think people forget how physical of a game that was, despite the fast pace. They think it's, very lackadaisical finesse. There was no finesse to Tennessee Ole Miss despite the score last week. And on top of it, let's look at it from Alabama's side. Bryce Young, 75% completion percentage last week against Mississippi State, 4 touchdown passes. Tennessee's secondary hasn't truly been tested since they played Kenny Pickett and Pitt. And we know how that game went for that defense. Yes, Emory Jones played well against Florida when Tennessee played Florida, but we've seen Florida since then. We've also watched Pitt progress in the ACC. They have a big game today against Clemson. Chad, I'm hesitant to say that Tennessee covers this today because I know what Alabama's capable of, and I know what Bryce Young is going to do to this secondary.
Well, and, Matt Corral, Tennessee just faced the Heisman Trophy favorite last week. But you're right, Hutton, that the secondary has not been really tested since Kenny Pickett and Pitt because Ole Miss was banged up at skill position last week with their best receiver, their best tight end. So it was a running game by Matt Corral, 200 yards, pretty much 200 yards rushing a week ago. So you're right in that this is going to be a very different challenge for that secondary with Bryce Young and just a plethora of great receivers for Alabama.
And then Alabama's defense up front, Will Anderson, I would be scared going up against him today if I'm trying to game plan him because the offensive line is already banged up. I know Mays is going to try to play. Chad, Will Anderson with 4 sacks last week, he is a terror. We saw him down in College Station. That he is going to have a massive game if Tennessee's offensive line can't hold up with their front 5.
I know people make fun of me for this, but this is a game where if Hendon Hooker is not 80+%, and I'm not just saying can he go in there and stand in the pocket and throw passes. Hendon Hooker needs to be able to run. Yep. That's a big part of his game. If he's not able to do that fully, I would be completely okay with Tennessee going with Harrison Bailey or Joe Milton in this game and getting healthy through the bye week because it's going to be an important stretch for Tennessee. I think the Kentucky game after the bye week in November 6th is winnable, and then they've got winnable games after that. After Georgia, which is not winnable, South Alabama, Vandy to close out the season. You're never going to be completely healthy at the end of a football season. You want to be as healthy as possible. And to me, I don't know that you're giving yourself a great shot at doing that by playing everyone tonight. But I respect it. You also don't go in and concede anything.
It's a great message.
This has been the message from Josh Heupel throughout. We're going to go for it. I've quoted Roy McAvoy, the great Kevin Costner from Tin Cup before. He didn't come here to lay up. They didn't go to Tuscaloosa to lay up, obviously, if all these guys are playing.
Well, how long have Tennessee fans been asking, when are we going to be back? Not just out of the cellar, but back in the upper tier. This is an upper tier mindset by Heupel. They're not resting up for Kentucky, right? They're going against Bama tonight, and they're going with their best players. That's great.
The biggest headline that we've heard all week, and we've been talking about it all season, Ed Orgeron, is he going to keep his job or not? They have come to an agreement there at LSU that Ed O will coach the rest of the season, but he will be out after that. So, Chad, I'll ask you, have things gotten better or worse now that we know Ed O's out?
We find out today, right? I mean, I thought Ed Orgeron at least extended his time a little bit with a win over Florida last week as a double-digit underdog. Obviously not the case. They didn't want Ed Orgeron to win his way into any second guessing about his eventual firing. So they went ahead after they saw, okay, we saw it at USC when he was the interim coach. We've seen it before. Les Miles did this as well at LSU. Go ahead, pull the Band-Aid off, make sure everyone knows that he's done at season's end. And I think we'll see today how LSU responds. They responded fine last week. Defense is still a huge issue for LSU, but we'll see how they go today in Oxford.
Yeah, I mean, I think LSU showed last week that they're capable of stepping up and doing some big things. And look, they all knew, everyone knew that Ed O was out at the end of this year based on how things were going. And a win over Florida isn't going to change things because it was determined prior to that after the Kentucky loss. But what a series in terms of events. 2 years ago, national championship, and 5 wins a year ago to now being out. And not just out, Jill, out on a press conference where he and the AD shake hands and he agrees to stay on board through the season. That's unheard of. It was just like, hey, it's irreconcilable. It was like a divorce, right? And when you watch that presser and you have Ed Orgeron, who 2 years ago had a Heisman Trophy winner and a national title, to now, bizarre.
I think that when you look at it, when you see that Ed Orgeron was the favored child coming back home to Louisiana, the fact that he was able to go out and win that national championship, I think these are all the reasons that we see this very unusual circumstance, if you will. He's still well-liked among his team, so I think that's his difference.
Maybe you did too. I found it interesting that they decided to go ahead and part ways now and announce it, because I think they saw the way they played against Florida, the powers that be, right? And they said, let's make this announcement before this team goes on a run and he saves his job. Like, that's how I read it, because if it was truly determined after Kentucky, who knows what they're capable of when you saw them put up 40-plus against Florida.
Yeah, we were sitting here talking. We're like, there's no way that a banged-up LSU team was going to go down there and beat Florida, but they did. You might notice that we've lost our fellow colleague here in Chad Withrow. Chad actually has a very special guest. Chad, what's going on this morning?
I've got a very special guest here. I've got Hannah Dasher with me, country music legend already. By the way, this hair is legendary.
I had to do it up big this morning. I mean, it's, we're talking about SEC football and maybe my Braves, chop, chop.
That's right. So you said a prayer last night for the Braves at your concert, is that correct?
I held a prayer vigil on stage. I just wrote a kick-ass new song that mentions the Braves, and but everyone raised their cell phones in the air and turned their little lights on, and we just thank the Lord for baseball and prayed for another win like 1995. Woo!
So, Hannah, it took me as you can tell, about 5 minutes to get ready this morning. You're here bright and early at 6th and Peabody. How long does it take to get this going? The full Hannah Dasher experience that we're seeing right here.
Well, it takes Andrew, my hairstylist, about a day to probably set up my hair, and then it takes me about 5 seconds to put it on, and then
either way,
I was up probably at 6 o'clock. I think about 6:15 this morning. Made a fresh pot of coffee and my retro percolator and cranked my Aretha Franklin gospel.
So your latest single dropped yesterday.
Tall Boy.
Tall Boy. We've got tall boys here.
No, you don't.
I don't know if you're opposed to having a drink in the morning, but we do have that.
It does make
You've got the Yeehaw IPA. I've got the Yeehaw
I went to
Kolsch.
University of Georgia. Of course, I can drink in the morning.
Your nail, that was impressive right there, even with the nails. Cheers, by the way, to the new song.
Cheers. Well, thank you very much, Chad.
So, I've listened to the song. I love it. I immediately thought, okay, this is double meaning, right? It's a tall boy in a beer, and it's about looking for tall boys, but it's in fact the opposite of that. It's about not needing tall boys, right?
This girl don't need no man. I just need a tall boy.
It offended me as a tall boy that I heard that it wasn't about tall boys, but it's still.
I have a taste for tall boys, obviously, but it takes a few ribeyes.
It still worked out. So your Georgia Bulldogs, by the way, are doing well.
Yeah, 6-0. What?
Yes, you gotta love it. So
I can't wait. It's an off day for us. We always take the weekend off before we play Florida. And my buddy Michael Ray's coming here in a little bit. I'm gonna give him hell because he's a big old Gator fan. And the only reason I tolerate it is because Tom Petty was a Gator fan, and Mike Campbell is one of my favorite guitar players. So, I love you, Bubba, but I won't love you next Saturday.
I came in this morning and I told Hannah, hey, congrats on all the success. And she immediately said, oh, yeah, the Georgia's 6-0, which is great. So I said, we should do the whole thing where I congratulate on our music success, and then we just talk about Georgia's success ultimately.
Yeah.
So how busy are things for you right now? Concert last night. You're here this morning, just dropped a new single.
Yes.
What's next? Where do you go from here today?
So I've got an 80s themed wedding tomorrow. My best girlfriend's getting married. But on the road, I'm out with the Steelwoods. If you're into rock and roll, honky tonk rock and roll, those guys are awesome. And then later with Justin Moore. After that, out in Vegas will be fun. And then in January, we've got some dates with Reba McEntire. Woo-wee!
Does it ever stop if you are a great songwriter. You're always creating content, creating music. Does the mind ever turn off? Like when you're watching a Georgia football game, are you also in the back of your mind thinking about, this would be a good hook for a song that I need to write?
To a fault, actually. I don't turn it off enough to recharge the batteries. I'm always thinking and twisted and thinking, and but I think Luke Combs, he's got a lot bigger management team and a lot deeper bank pocket than I do. So congrats to him for getting that SEC song this year. But that doesn't mean I won't try to write one too. You're
gonna get it eventually. So Hannah, I think the whole purpose here is to get me drunk because I have to be on air for the next 3 hours.
Ooh, now what
but
is this?
Old Smoky provided moonshine. I have no idea what flavor this is. I'm just gonna call mine blue. Yours is red. So
it smells like high C.
Yeah, I'm not great at taking shots, but we can at least sip this right now and cheers it to your success.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
My success. Let's go Dogs. Let's go Braves. Let's go Chad.
Hey, to the Braves getting to the World Series.
Woo!
How about that?
Oh.
From a Tennessee tall boy to a Georgia girl, but
They're
we're both
our
Braves
team.
fans.
They're our team.
We're
yeah.
both Braves fans. So cheers. Let's taste this. Oh, look at that. I did the whole thing.
Woo,
and it's not even 8:30 a.m. yet.
My heavens, my heavens.
Hannah, thank you so much for this.
Thank you for having me.
Go Braves. I'll say this just for you. Go Dogs also.
Thank you.
Congrats on Tall Boy, the latest single.
Thank you.
Hopefully we get a chance to do this again.
I can't wait, Chad.
Bartender, by the way, we do need another shot.
Hey!
And we will be right back with more on OutKick the Tailgate.
There's never been a more challenging time to be an investor. Your stock markets are overvalued by every measure with record low cap rates. Cryptocurrency can go from boom to bust overnight, and inflation is making everything hard to predict. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just sit back and watch your money grow? That's where Farmfolio comes in. Farmland ownership made easy. Farmland's an asset class that's often overlooked, but it's one that's consistently delivered higher returns than other investments with significantly less volatility. You can buy a farm lot from Farmfolio, and we'll manage every aspect of your farm property, from crop care, harvesting, and sales of your produce through our company-owned packing facilities and international sales offices. With Farmfolio, farmland ownership has never been easier. Simply sit back and enjoy the fruits of our labor. Farmfolio, you own, we farm, you earn.
Nope.
None.
Got to persevere.
OutKick the Tailgate, presented by Farmfolio. We keep things rolling. Albert Hainsworth, kind enough to join us early in the morning. I mean, we have Chad Withrow over here already drinking a tall boy, so it's early, but it's not that early, right?
Yeah, it's never too early to drink a tall boy.
Well, and Albert knows, look, Albert's no quitter, right? This guy was a great player in his day, and he knows that once you pop the top, you got to keep going. I mean, if it's 8:15 or 8:15 a.m. or 8:15 p.m., you keep going. So you understand.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
That's
right?
right, absolutely.
Great Tennessee Titan, also Tennessee Vol. I mean, we were talking about the Volunteers. I feel like all week there was a lot of animosity in Knoxville last weekend. What were you? I'm assuming you watched it on TV.
Yes.
And you stuck through that 22 minutes of uncertainty. We had to get the cheerleaders off the field. We had to get the band out. Like it's going to be one of those moments that lives in infamy, I feel like, in college football now.
It's true, but I think it overshadowed how the Vols actually played. With the whole thing, and I hope Lane doesn't really think that the golf ball was headed for him. I think it was headed for the ref because of how they screwed us on a number of calls. So Lane, I still love you. I mean, I don't hate me, Vols, but I still love you. And we were aiming for the refs.
Albert, you know Lane a little bit, and I mean, I think he's been pretty open about this too. I get the sense that he still loves Tennessee.
Yes, he
it's
does.
like a secret love affair. Even when he talked about the Tennessee fans post-game, he's getting stuff thrown on the field and everything else, and he's saying, I mean, things happen. It didn't go their way. This is a great fan base, passionate. It's this weird secret love affair with both Lane Kiffin and Tennessee fans and Lane Kiffin.
That's absolutely true. Like he hates the way it went down. And we talked right after he accepted the job. He's like, I guess you hate me too. I said, no, man. I said, I hate that you leave my university like this, but who are we to stand in front of your dream job? So, go chase your dreams. So, USC was.
You like us and all Vols fans, Albert. We have not liked the last few coaching hires at Tennessee. What do you think about this one?
I like the way the guys are playing, so I'm not gonna comment. I think Josh is doing the right thing, but I like the way they're playing right now. So I want to hope they keep it up. Yeah, I hope they keep it up. But you got to remember the same thing. Jeremy Pruitt's first year, There was the same thing. We were like 5-7 or something like that, but you saw a lot of promise. So I'm just going to wait, but I like the way they're trending.
Albert, isn't it almost refreshing? And what you're saying is absolutely true, but don't you get the sense that Tennessee fans, because they've gone through this cycle of getting excited about a coaching hire and being let down, that this is the most tempered I've ever seen the Tennessee fan base? It's a wait-and-see approach. People still aren't all in on Josh Heupel, but we like what we've seen so far, right?
Absolutely.
You watch this team, and it's like they clearly enjoy playing the game. And I know that sounds so minimal, but when you watch Tennessee football, a year ago it just went south to where you could tell the guys were just being drugged throughout the week, and they were not enjoying playing with each other. This is a group that I turn on the TV and I think, well, this is exciting because it looks like they're having fun, and they're not quitting, and they're playing hard, which is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
But still, no one's completely sold on Heupel also, which is smart of Tennessee fans.
Yeah, we should. Just be cautious. Don't sit here. I saw a post the other day about a guy saying, we hope Oklahoma's coach, who is
Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley leave to go anywhere because they're going to be coming after Josh Heupel.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, we the season's not even over.
It's
yet.
7 games. He's coached at Tennessee. Yeah, it's funny when people immediately start jumping to that.
It's so good, like when you see them put them like, oh, we're gonna put ourselves right back in that upper echelon. It's been a minute since y'all have been there, but it doesn't take very long for the Tennessee Volunteers fans to put themselves back in there. Oh, we've had a couple good games. We're gonna be back on top.
This is where I disagree. I really feel like for the first time, Jill, because you're right, any other time in history, Tennessee fans be so quick to fall in love and do something. Everyone is still, Heupel's a good offensive coach. I like what he does on offense, but let's see him recruit. Let's see how that goes. Because, Albert, you know this. When you went to Tennessee, and we've talked about this in a podcast, coming out of the state of South Carolina, Clemson wasn't much at the time, right? Alabama wasn't much at the time. The factors around Tennessee and where they had their dominance under Philip Fulmer, and they could go into South Carolina, into North Carolina, into Alabama, into Mississippi. They could get great players because they didn't have as much competition. That's changed now. So, and also the state of Tennessee has changed. There's a lot more players here, but everything has changed to where it's ultimately about recruiting, but it's a lot more difficult.
Yeah, we're going to have to definitely step outside the box of just Tennessee. We're going to have to start dominating South Carolina again, because there's a lot of great players out of South Carolina. Look at, Ty Evans. He comes from my hometown. I watched him play quarterback from my high school. So, you got to start dipping into those and start, getting back our dominance in our surrounding states.
Now, you were at the Tennessee-South Carolina game. Are you a traditionalist when it comes to the uniforms, or are you okay with the black uniforms you saw that day?
I think I'm still scarred from Butch.
Yeah.
So when you do something new and you're like, gosh, I hope this don't bite us. So that was kind of my worry. I said, man, y'all just go out there and play the game. Don't worry about what jerseys you're wearing. Wear your practice jerseys if you have to. I just want you to go out there and win. But they showed out and they did it. So hey, I'm starting to be okay with it.
Albert Hainsworth with us. Albert, your final year at Tennessee, going into games, we knew you were just going to dominate. What's the mindset like for you when you get on that run of in the SEC, they pride themselves on offensive line and trench play, right?
Right.
Lining up against you that year, they had no chance on the interior.
Yeah, as far as me and John, it was excellent. We dictated what the offense did, and that's the one thing we try to do when we came to Tennessee is dictate what the offense do. We don't care what the offense is lining up or if they're going to do unbalanced or anything like that. We're going to do what we do, and you're going to have to stop.
Did you ever see Henderson get slapped before a game? Did he do that in college like he did in Jacksonville?
Absolutely not. I don't know where he got that from, or like how that even come up. Like, how do you all right, I just want you to slap me.
Get ready, right before he took the field.
Yeah, but he didn't. Then he picked the littlest guy to slap him. I wish he would have did that at UT. I would have slapped him.
Can you imagine the balls it takes to go up to, if you're anyone, to go up to Albert Haynesworth?
No,
if you're John Anderson, say, you know what, the trainer's not going to slap me today. This is a big game. I want Big Al. I want Big Al's big mitt to just slap the hell out of me today. Let's make that happen. That would have been something else.
That would have been funny. I would have slapped him. He's like, "You mean slap you? No, I'm good. I'm ready."
I didn't plan on asking you this, but I have to ask because I was a student at the time when you guys were dominating. And John Henderson had some sort of concoction on the sideline. It was like a black fluid. I don't know if it was some weird Gatorade mix, but he would go back and he would drink it looked like motor oil.
It wasn't
that he
purple
was
Gatorade.
drinking, and it was for John Henderson. And I remember sitting right behind the bench at one point, and he would go over and get this, what appeared to be black motor oil, and drink it. Any knowledge of what that was?
I don't. That's the first time I ever heard that. I have no idea.
He was to try something.
Yeah. Was it Jägermeister, maybe? I mean,
Some black liquid.
Yeah, who knows?
Who
Who
knows?
knows?
It could have been anything.
yeah.
Albert, are you watching any of the Georgia defense this year?
No, I try not to watch Georgia.
I mean, I would try not to watch them too, but they've been pretty dominant this season.
They are. They finally getting it together. But again, the end of the season is coming, and they kind of tend to choke a little bit. So,
1980's been a while.
Yeah, it is. And you still got Alabama in the SEC championship, more than likely. So let's just see how they do.
So we had Keith Bullock in yesterday, and we got into the faking injuries thing. And you saw this in the Tennessee Ole Miss game, and it worked. And I watch it, and I think, it's still legal. There's no way to prove it. There's not a rule change to get the guy out for a series or whatever else if you're faking it. So Lane Kiffin kind of gave the blueprint for what we might see with Tennessee from here on out. If they're snapping the ball every 8 seconds, you get a first down, and immediately someone takes a dive to not get them going at that pace. Keith claims that he's never faked an injury or he's never been instructed to fake an injury. But he said, and I have to ask you about this, there would be times where we would instruct a defensive lineman to take a fall because it's the defensive linemen who get tired the quickest. They're the biggest guys. They're in the trenches. Have you ever taken a fall? Have you ever been instructed by Keith Bullock or anyone else to maybe fake a cramp at some point?
Absolutely. Yes, we have. You're not gonna take out Keith Bullock. You're not gonna take out DBs and stuff. So that was a little interesting when they were like dropping linebackers and
there were some corners that dropped on the edge at times.
So that was a little interesting. But like D-line, you do because you rotate so much anyway. Keith, he plays every play of the game. So the only thing you can do to stop players from diving is to look for the call from the coach, because like when we were doing it, it was like an upside down timeout. That's when that was our instruction. So if they want to look for that, that's what they can look for is a sign from the coach. But other than that, like you can't stop a player from cramping or pretend cramping or whatever.
So
Albert,
this was where the Titans, you're saying it was an upside down timeout was the call?
Yep. We never did it in college.
Yeah. Did the entire line, Hutton and I talked about this week, but we're very interested in the whole process of it. Is the call to one player? Because if you just did that and the defensive line sees it and 5 guys flop at the same time, then someone's going to know something's up, right?
It's happened where usually whoever's the tiredest would do it.
You're gassed.
And then there's been like two guys. So it was me and another player that did it at the same time. And then we were like,
Were you the one to stand up quick? You're like, no, I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
I thought I cramped for a second, but I'm fine.
Yeah.
Albert, is there an art to faking injuries?
No, you just lay on the field and
That's it?
just like you're in pain or something like that. Pretty much like how Ole Miss did it.
Yeah. So you're saying that you and the other D linemen, you would know who's the most tired, or you just kind of like feel it out?
Yeah, I mean you can kind of tell. We're all in sync.
love this.
I mean, it was my rookie year, I think. My second year, I think, that we did that. That's when the coach used to do
take
it.
a breather.
Yeah, that's when the coach used to like try to do the hurry up.
Yeah,
Peyton.
oh, yeah.
So you want to slow down Peyton, but like as far as
Washburn had all kinds of tricks for that.
Oh yeah, but as far as other coaches doing it, I don't think so. Like Lane, Lane doesn't care. Like Lane's going to do whatever it takes to win. And so other coaches, I feel, are going to have and I'm not saying he doesn't have integrity, but like I think other coaches are like too proud to kind of do that. Like we're gonna face him like full on.
Yeah,
we don't have to take a fake timeout.
You're right, because Nick Saban was asked about it this week on his coach's show, and he said it's a problem. He talked about it being a problem when these fast-paced offenses started. He said it's a challenge, and he said you're going to have people do that. But he also basically admitted, I'm not going to have my players do that. But it's something to watch. Should the powers that be in college football get together and say, a solution to me would be, okay, if you're injured and have to be helped off the field and there's a stoppage, you sit out 4 plays. You sit out a series, whatever it may be. So you don't – it stops 13 injury stoppages in the second half that way, because you don't want to lose your guys for that many plays.
Right.
Should something be done, or can you not do anything?
That's a good point. I mean, that's a good point. Never thought about like taking them out for a number of plays.
A series. Even.
A series. Yeah, that's a great point. They could do that. I mean, it's going to change the game. I mean, there's so many other things that could change the game. So I just say it's part of football. I mean, that's part of things you got to deal with. I got to be ready for that. If you still have that mentality to be able to, go out there and play a fast-paced offense, you should still be able to run the same exact plays even with a timeout or injury timeout.
When you look at being here in Tennessee, you still attend the Titans games?
Yes, I do.
Is there a yacht involved here?
Oh, for the Vols games, he would have pull a boat around.
Yeah, I put my big boat around.
Yeah,
but
he's got one. He's never brought it to the Cumberland. That's always the Tennessee River. He's
Oh,
I'll lose too many props on the Cumberland.
I was like, how does that work?
I mean, I think if it's – to be clear, if it's on a river, it's not a yacht, Jill. I think it's more of a big boat.
It's a
right?
yacht.
Would you
for
call
a
it?
Tennessee
Would you
River.
call it a yacht? It's like a really nice boat.
Yeah,
right?
when it's over 70 feet, it's a yacht.
So is it over 70 feet?
It's a yacht.
I stand corrected.
There is
It's a
no-
yacht.
there
Jill's
is no-
right.
Chad,
Jill's
there
right.
is no doubt when you
I'm
see
wrong.
this is a yacht. Okay?
The Google
Albert's
machine-
he's not buying a boat.
I just don't think of yachts on fresh water, right? Like that's a saltwater vehicle.
That's why he bought one.
It's a saltwater vessel, is a yacht. So that's impressive. You've got one of the few Tennessee River freshwater yachts. That's great.
Well, no, you don't keep it there.
Yeah.
You just come up for some games and then you go back to Florida.
Oh, so the yacht lives in Florida.
Yeah.
All right.
I sold
that
it
makes
now. I sold it now. It's
Okay.
like, it was too
Is
much.
it true that the two best days of a boat owner is the day you buy it and the day you sell it?
Not for me. Like I used my boat like when I was in off season and stuff. I used it all the time. We'd go to the Keys. We'd go to the Bahamas. Just anywhere. Come up to Tennessee. I mean, from Fort Lauderdale to Tennessee was like a 14-day trip. It was 10 days in the rivers, only 3 days in saltwater.
I wish you would have still had this, because we could do the tailgate show from the yacht at Neyland.
Bring it, yeah. Hey, might have to
Buy
do
it
that.
back.
I looked at one.
Did you?
Yeah. So it was a great price too. A lot cheaper than when I sold mine.
All right, we'll do the show there. We're inviting ourselves.
I love it. Albert, what do you think about the letter from Jeremy Pruitt's attorney? I don't know if you've seen this story, but I mean, Jeremy Pruitt is his attorney, and he's trying to burn the whole house down to get a little bit of money in the buyout, where Tennessee is dug in clearly and saying you broke so many rules that we know about and lied about them that we're not going to pay you anything. But it's also, to me, Jeremy Pruitt admitting I'm probably not going to coach in college again based on whatever happened, because no school's going to hire him if you're willing to dig up dirt on other programs on campus and report them publicly. What do you make of the whole situation?
I kind of understand his approach. He was kind of blindsided with the firing. I mean, you look at that day. So they asked him to introduce Kevin Steele.
Yep.
As a defensive consultant or something like that. And they do that. So they have the meeting first, and they do all that. And then after introducing him as a defensive, not coordinator, but, whatever he was, consultant, he comes back to his office and he has a letter and said, hey, you're terminated. And he's just like, wait, what? Like, we just went through all this stuff about, the McDonald bags and the money. I mean, I don't know who we're giving this money to, but But
you expect better results for that type of money,
right? Like he goes through all this stuff, and he was never mentioned about being fired. And it's like at the end of the day, you introduce a guy to be the assistant head coach. Would you actually have T. Martin there? That is the assistant head coach. That was his title, and then you fire him. So it was kind of blindsided by him. So I understand where he feels. He didn't feel like he was part of the whole McDonald's, which he needs to. He needs to be control the entire team. So
yeah.
UT has a right because he is the head coach. He should be able to control his coaches and all the staff. So I mean, they both have good fields to argue with.
He had speaking of, he had Fulmer helping him, and then Fulmer was also out too shortly thereafter. So Phil lost his power.
Yeah, well, like Coach Fulmer retired.
Right,
and stepped down and all that stuff.
Yes,
so,
he retired.
So he was, he was kind of left holding the bag, literally.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's that's kind of
he was left holding the McDonald's bag in the end. But and you're right though. I mean, Tennessee fans weren't complaining when they had a top 5 recruiting class.
Right.
Right. I mean that's what's fun about these things is it's always do whatever you need to, don't get caught. And then the moment you get caught, the whole administration is aghast.
Right.
The president, I can't believe the amount of things that were going on, the violations. And I can see where Jeremy Pruitt's in there saying, I know a bunch of people who knew about it. Right? And they were totally fine with it when we were getting Henry To'oTo'o to commit.
Sure.
I mean, you got to look at it. Like, I'm not slandering, Alabama, but, like, back then, I mean, heck, how do you get kids to come to Alabama? You know what I mean? Like, well, all these kids got Chargers and Camaros and all this stuff,
Well, where did Jeremy Pruitt come from, and where did the guy who got hit by the NCAA the hardest come from?
Right.
Brian Niedermeyer is an Alabama product, and he got his start as the recruiting coordinator at Alabama. It doesn't take a genius to put the dots together and say that this is something that goes on at a lot of places.
Yeah, almost everywhere. Now it's great that they released this the likeness and stuff where they can make money. Because you got to think, these kids are coming from, small towns. Parents might not have a whole lot of money. And, hey, they're going to look for some type of money to help them out, to help their parents out. I mean, and then what we lived on campus, and my mom, gave me money, but, it was nothing. Like, I had $87 my freshman year a month. Like, what can you do with that? Like, even gas prices back then was cheaper, but still, that'd be $80. So it was like my mom had to give me money and stuff like that.
Albert, before we let you go, Tennessee and Alabama are playing. We're going to have our picks against the spread. The Vols, they're underdogs by 24.5, so just a small number.
By the way, that number keeps going down, though. It started at 29, and it keeps going.
You're saying
down.
Hendon Hooker, he might be going today. So I'll just ask you, 24.5 feel a little big to you?
If Hendon Hooker is playing, I'm gonna say that's a little big.
All right, you heard it here first, everybody. Albert Hainsworth, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we are going to go find our correspondent, Paxton Elrod. She is out and about. We are at 6th and Peabody. Paxton, what's going on over there?
Oh, it's just bright and early, and I'm at a bar. So what better thing to do than hang out with our favorite bartender, Krista. Yeah, I mean, honestly, though, you've been in literally, everything we've done here, so we might as well just keep it running. So
I love it.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about where we're at and what all's here.
Well, we're at 6th and Peabody. So this is Old Smoky Moonshine Distillery, Whiskey Distillery. Also, we have Yeehaw Brewery here as well. So we do a little bit of making the beer, making the moonshine. You can do tastings. You can just drink beer, watch the games. It's a great place to hang out.
So when someone is coming here and they're, doing a tasting, what all does that entail? What are they doing? They just basically taking a bunch of shots? Or are we walking through people everything?
Yeah, no, so you walk up and after we check your ID, you have to be 21 and a valid ID.
21, real, okay.
Then you get 7 different flavors. So usually you get 6 moonshines, 1 whiskey, and because you are also at Yeehaw Brewery, you get a 9-ounce beer. So it's really fun. We always are changing up the flavors, so you can come multiple times. You're always going to have something different.
Awesome. So what do you think one of your favorite moonshine shots is?
Well, right now we have a new shot that we just came out with. It's called Blueberry Pancakes. Ooh. It's 40 proof. It's breakfast in a shot. So.
What proof?
40. It's not a lot.
Great. Yeah.
Normally the liquor that you're drinking is 80 proof. So.
Casual. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and it's blueberry pancake.
Blueberry pancake.
It's like 8:30 in the morning, so we might as well take the shot.
Take a shot.
now, right?
Yeah. That's what
else
it
are we
looks
gonna do?
like.
No, that's a shot. That's
That's a
that
shot.
is a shot, guys.
Oh, there's something.
That is a thing. And I like how mine's a little bit more full than
Yeah,
yours.
just a little.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Let's see what the.
Good morning.
I do taste the syrup, which is real strange. I would have thought I just tasted like some blueberries, but we got the syrup aftertaste, which really takes me right to Waffle House after I've been at a bar all night.
Yeah,
So really just
imagine yourself
Love
getting
this.
drunk and then going to Waffle House,
Yeah.
IHOP.
I
You
love
know,
it.
it's
I
great.
love it. Well, thank you for that. I'm going
Of
to toss it
course.
back up to those guys and see what they're doing, hanging out up there. We're going to keep taking shots, guys.
Chad's joining you.
Paxton, we're all drinking up here as
I've
well. We are at 6th and Peabody, and
I've been waiting for drinking in the
Yeehaw
morning to
beer.
be socially acceptable.
Yeah.
And finally, Paxton's been the only one doing it so far, and now
Now Clay pays his
cheers. Yeah, so I started drinking also. So let's get some more shots up here when you get a chance. Also, Krista, come on, let's make it happen.
country music single Michael Ray also joining us. What's in the cup this morning?
I'll be honest with y'all, I have no idea. This is what happens in Nashville. Very few cities wake up and start drinking, and it just happens here. It's a drinking town with a music problem.
This is also it looks like a very sunrise type concoction.
Yeah, well, that's how they fool you here.
It
You know what I
looks-
mean? They
it
make
looks
it look
delicious,
like
right?
It is actually great. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's it's what
Get a
Old
boost.
Smoky does. Old Smoky, they found a way to make moonshine healthy in the morning.
They did. That's the goal here
That's
for
it.
Can
for
we get
for
three
them
more
for
of
our
these
show.
up here too? By the way,
People,
please.
people are starting to
For
fill in
whoever made
here.
this for Michael.
At 6th and Peabody, we have drink specials for you and some swag and everything going on down here at 6th and Peabody. So I know that you are born and raised in Florida. You're a Gators fan?
I am. Orange and blue, baby. I know Hannah Dasher was up here earlier talking smack about,
That's right.
about Georgia.
There
but
she
we,
is
we
right
Next
coming
week.
For 'em. We coming for him. Listen, you never seen a dog beat a gator. Unless it's in football, I guess.
So last week in that LSU game, little rough.
Yeah, it was a hard one to see. I really thought we were coming back strong, and then, man, LSU just got such a great team. It was a good game. I thought that we were coming back on that third quarter, and then, I talked a little smack too soon to some friends, and then they came back and beat us. So.
Do you think that Hannah just is constantly in that state? Like when I see the hair and everything, I'm like, this is impressive that this is this early. She was in Lexington, Kentucky last night at a show, and she said she slept 3 hours, and she was here with us, and she's ready to go.
Here's what I love about
it's amazing to witness
Hannah
that.
Dasher is your generation Dolly Parton. I've never seen her not look like a superstar. I've seen her. We've hung out. I've seen her late night. Early mornings like this, always on, and always makes me feel like I'm underdressed. But she's a superstar.
I need to get some hair tips. I
Well,
don't know
you
how
look
to get
you
that
look
height.
appropriate for 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Right? Like I feel like this is
I don't
what
know if that's that
most
compliment
people.
right
Yeah, people watching us right now probably look like. But you know what I mean? Like you're gonna have a ball cap on, a t-shirt.
Yeah,
like this
yeah,
is
it should be.
appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely. No, she's the best, man. But we only talk smack to each other once a year, and that's next weekend. So
Nice.
We're headed to that game next weekend in Jacksonville.
are y'all going? We played.
We
there.
still call it the cocktail party, by the way.
I played there about 5 years ago, and it was Florida Georgia Line was actually headlining, and it was one of the biggest parties I think I've ever played in my life. It was incredible. It was awesome.
Do you enjoy the college football circuit of towns if you're going to play in? Have you played the college bars? Have you played the venues in college towns? Is it a different vibe with that?
It is, man. You got those college towns, and there's just that love. What I love about college football and college sports in general is that pride. You know what I mean? It's that it's that union. It's our team. Win or lose, we're together. And I think when you go to those college towns, you play those college bars, they bring that energy to those bars and to that. It's their, they have pride in the fact that you're coming to their town and you're playing that show. And so it's a different energy altogether.
I looked at Gainesville, and we took Chad there early on. That was one of our first shows.
Oh, yeah. Chad booked the Airbnb.
Look, I mean, Florida is a great program, and it's a really good school. I understand all that. But you're going to have to help me with Gainesville because it's not the best town, right? I've been to some really good college. We were in Athens last week. I know you hate Georgia, but Athens, terrific college
Great
town.
college town.
I love
Oxford,
Georgia.
Mississippi, terrific college town. Knoxville's a city, but it's a good college environment. Gainesville, great program, great school, terrible town.
You just got to know where to hit it. You know what I mean? You just got to know where to go. But I also think that for me, where I'm from is about 2 hours south of there. So all my friends went there to have that college experience, but also be able to get home for mom to do their laundry, on the weekends and have that moment. So it's I think we went to a lot of like house parties and stuff. There isn't a lot of like a big bar scene in Gainesville, but there's a good vibe in this orange and blue down there.
Well, to be fair, we stayed next to the bus depot
That's
when
the
we
problem.
were there,
Yeah,
so
you
that's
see you get
probably
better
what
That was
our
literally our
problem-
backyard.
Chad thought it was like a cool, trendy area. Like, oh, the depot. Okay. He's like, oh, it's like the Gulch here in Nashville. Like, it's going to be something that's going to be like really hip and trendy.
I thought
and
of it
they're
from a
gonna be
big city
with it.
perspective. Like, oh,
Yeah.
the depot. This is a new area.
We're gonna party in the depot.
It was literally a bus depot.
Yeah.
And we were right next door to it, and it was not the best Airbnb ever. But we made it through.
Well, that's
so
all
you're
that
saying
matters.
we got to hit house parties.
You
That's
got,
something to
you got.
Gainesville.
It's all one thing about Gainesville and UF. It's all about it's the people. It's the energy of that school, man. There's something about being in that swamp, man, and just like any other college, you like I said, you got that pride in the colors. You got that pride in your school, and Gainesville, like you said, it's not an Athens. It's not a Knoxville, but it has its good spots, man.
Michael, your team, the Gators, your NFL team, the Bucks. What is it like watching Tampa Bay sign Tom Brady and watch the greatest of all time quarterback your team? Because there was talk here in Nashville that the Titans may be interested in Brady. Turns out they weren't, but they should have been. I mean, at 44, look at the numbers he's putting up.
I think Tom Brady's like the hot girl at prom. I think everybody wants her at the team. So I don't think anybody doesn't want Tom Brady to be wearing their coach. But I remember A-Train. I remember Warren Sapp and that when that era was going on, and Tampa was just thriving, man. And what Tampa's done, what Tom Brady's brought, the energy, him, Gronkowski, the whole team, man. It was. I knew that it would elevate, and I knew that it would elevate the city, and it's a really cool thing, man. It's cool to see him, what he's brought to the city, and what he's brought to the team. It's been a cool thing as a fan to watch, and I just respect him a lot, and just as a player.
Being a Bucks fan, how jealous were you with that boat parade with the Super Bowl trophy where Brady's chucking the Lombardi trophy to another boat? Like, how cool would it be to be a part of that?
I've never been more jealous in my life, honestly. Yeah, I love the fact that I think was it one of Lombardi's daughters was like, he needs to apologize for this, and I'm like,
yeah, disrespectful.
This man gets paid millions of dollars and is the best in the world of throwing things to that guy who's the best in the world at catching things. Now, if Tom Brady was throwing it to me on the boat, then you should apologize.
The football knocks off of it because you drop it
we
on
got
the
divers
boat.
in the water. Then it's embarrassing. My family doesn't talk to me no more. It's a whole thing.
Now, I have a question because I feel like Tom Brady is significantly more likable in Tampa Bay. I don't think that he was very likable towards the end of the Patriot years. We were all just sick and tired of Tom Brady, right?
He's just so good, and he's a good guy too. It's it's just all around.
But then you get him in Tampa Bay, and we're all like, oh, we all like this guy now. Like
who is this
just
guy?
can't help it anymore.
Yeah, well, I think it's every relationship might run its course, and and then they move on to something else. You're like, oh, well, maybe it was just the atmosphere.
I've
you know
never
what I mean?
seen somebody go from like villain to beloved.
Well, it's
so
because
quickly.
we know him, right? We didn't really know him
Yeah.
in New England because he wasn't allowed to speak
Well,
in the Patriot way. So you always heard these stories about Brady showing up at parties with players and chugging 15 beers in front of the offensive line.
Tom
and how
Brady,
fun
if
of a
you're
guy
watching,
was
I
Tom
want
Brady
to chug
was.
15 beers with you.
Absolutely. Or have one of these drinks.
Or have
with
whatever
you,
I'm
Jeff.
We'll
drinking
sing some
here.
songs.
Or yeehaw. I'll bring my guitar. You bring the. I'm not going to catch a football, but we'll just have some fun. Here's the thing, man.
But we know him now, right? Because he can actually have personality.
Well,
in
it's
Tampa.
just the state of Florida, man. I know. Listen, I know my state might get some flack here and there. It seems like every time there's something crazy in the news, the dude's from Florida. But we just have a fun atmosphere, and I think that Tampa in general, between the Lightning and Tampa Bay Bucks, and just what the city's done, man, it really has changed a lot. And Tampa's just on fire right now, and I think that it allows you, dude. You're on the coast, man. Like who's not gonna want to open up a little more on the coast? I think it's just allowed him. I think new energy too. How long was he with the Patriots?
18 years, 17 years.
According to the rest of the league, too long.
Yeah.
Too many wins were accumulated during that time.
Yeah, so 18 years is like, it was that in dog years and football years. That's like 50 years. So he had to retire from there.
2 careers.
2 careers, yeah. And so, I think Tampa just let him open up a little bit, and I think the new energy all around was something that was needed for him and for us, and it all just met perfectly.
Are you a Dan Mullen guy at Florida? It's been, you look at the trend, and the last 10 games have not been great. I love Dan Mullen. He's a great quarterback coach. I think what he did at Mississippi State, I don't know that we're going to see anytime soon with the success they had there. But you're not concerned at all about trajectory right now with Mullen. They're going to figure it out.
No, man, I think he's a great coach. I think we're just in that building season. I think we had a great team, but I think, we're in that time where it'll be a couple years. I think we all got real spoiled in the Urban Meyers, Tim Tebow, time, and I think you got to believe in your team, win or loss. I'm always the orange and blue. I never waver. So I'm the guy still rocking the jersey even after a loss. So I support Dan, and I think he's a great coach. I think he's great for the organization.
Do you have a quarterback preference currently for your Gators?
No, I think he's. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson. I think he's. When he during the LSU game, he really stood up. He's a great quarterback, and I think he's great. I wouldn't have any changes.
I'm shocked that they haven't played him more, honestly. And I watched that second half, and Florida ran all over LSU in that game. It wasn't like offense was a problem.
No.
So I mean, I'm sure we'll see both those guys moving forward. But the great thing about Dan Mullen is, and you know this from his time before at Florida as offensive coordinator and at Mississippi State, he can play with any style quarterback.
Absolutely.
And Kyle Trask isn't a guy who's going to run. Dak Prescott can do everything. He can take any. Emory Jones isn't the greatest passer. He can take a quarterback and really play to their strengths.
Yeah, I think he knows. Like you said, he plays to their strength. He knows when to use them, and he knows where they need to be and when they need to be there. And I think he's a great coach, man. Like I said, I think we're in a growing period right now, and every team goes through it. So
when you moved to Nashville, what was the honky tonk you wanted to play the most?
Man, I never really hit that Broadway circuit. We were playing a lot of shows in Florida, but there's Robert's Western Wear was a place that I still go to. You get that $5 fried bologna.
I have not had
You've
this.
never had this?
No, this is my second
all
time
right,
in
guys,
Nashville.
listen.
I don't
All
live
right,
here.
all
Tell
right,
me.
all right,
Break
listen,
it down.
guys, if you're in Nashville, Tennessee, all right, they booped it up to $6 because inflation. But it used to be $5. But
Still worth
bring
it.
$6, it's worth the extra buck. You get a fried bologna sandwich, Lay's potato chips, moon pie to throw it back, and some PBR.
All
That's
for
Nashville,
$5.
Tennessee.
$6.
$6
now,
now, Chad.
COVID. Okay. But yeah,
What's great though is you get that, and $6 is like 1/3 the cost of a beer at any other place in Broadway now.
yeah.
When
So
you look at all these other places,
Yeah.
right? It's like it's $18 beer night. That's why it's so popular.
Yeah,
here. It's great.
$15 beer night's a big night here.
Yeah, it
but,
is.
But
It's every night.
it hits different at 2 a.m. That fried bologna sandwich. I'll be honest with you.
Dang.
Or at 8:30 a.m.
I just
Or at
found
10
my,
if you start doing this.
I just
so,
found
yeah.
my plans after the show today. We're going to go get some fried bologna. This week, we've been putting out social poll questions every week for OutKick, the tailgate. And the first one that we put out is who's going to be the next coach at LSU. I guess if you look here, it looks like Mel Tucker is the leader from everybody that was voting online. So James Franklin, Jimbo Fisher, Lane Kiffin, Mel Tucker. Do you have a preference here? What do
I thought
think?
Jimbo Fisher would be higher up on that list.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
everybody's
he
been
was
talking
offensive
Jimbo.
coordinator from 2000 to 2006 in LSU.
It's actually a very even poll. I'm stunned by this.
I think and Jimbo Fisher. I know he's Florida State, but I think he's great, man. I would go with Jimbo Fisher.
Jimbo's buyout. Does Jimbo have a buyout or not?
No.
There's conflicting reports on this.
No, Jimbo is owed all of the money in his contract.
Okay, so it's guaranteed.
If he's going to be there. But if he walks away, they don't owe him.
He owes nothing.
He owes no money back to them. He gets everything
And his
has
former
to,
AD was
and
about
has
to hire him
pay
away then.
nothing in
Yeah.
return. I don't know how he worked that out, but Scott Woodward is like, I'm not going to be here at Texas A&M forever, and if I want you later, I'm going to make it easy for myself to do it.
I need to know who Jimbo Fisher's attorney is to negotiate my
Right?
next deal.
Yeah, get him on the phone.
And Jimbo Fisher, he said, I plan on fulfilling this contract, is what he said repeatedly. Nick Saban said, I will never be the coach at Alabama when he was the Dolphins coach. So, look, people have said they're not going to go somewhere, and they end up going somewhere. But Jimbo Fisher's also talking about all the ranches he owns in Texas. This week when I asked, I said, guys, I own ranches, plural, through Texas A&M. Like, I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. I'm set up for life. He's an oil and gas man now in Texas A&M. I don't know why he would leave for LSU.
There's $95 million also if he's just staying. If he just does nothing, if he just stays where he is and continues coaching.
Hey, Jimbo. Listen, Jimbo, stay where you're at. Let me hunt your deer on your ranch.
I think Jill has too much say over these poll questions. I need some input because some of these.
The correct
Jimbo
answer,
Fisher should not be on that list because he's not leaving Texas
He's
A&M.
not leaving. If you own plural ranches, you're invested.
I mean, you're right in that. Yes, I would hire Jimbo Fisher. He's not going to leave for LSU.
The correct
I need
answer
more input on these
is
poll
James
questions.
Franklin.
It's James Franklin or Lane Kiffin. Full stop.
See,
Mel Tucker's a great coach. I think it's going to be one of those two guys.
See, I think LSU needs someone that's more about ball. Kiffin's about ball, but he's about a lot of other things other than football as well. James Franklin, straight ball, right? Saban, straight ball. That's what they need at LSU next.
Yeah, there's so much pride in LSU in their organization. I think you get somebody, like you said, that has that ball skill that connects with that defense, and I think they're a hell of a team, man.
I wouldn't leave Ole Miss if I'm Kiffin, personally.
Listen,
you can do everything you want to do.
What we're learning on OutKick the Tailgate
Lane
is
Train should stay.
The SEC towns are great. SEC football programs are fantastic. Stay where you are. Lane doesn't need to go anywhere. Michael Ray, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank y'all for having
really
me.
Really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank
Great
y'all.
to have you.
I'm serious about finding out what that drink is.
I need to find out what it is, too.
OutKick the Tailgate, presented by Farmfolio. Hour number 2 is coming up next. Stay with us. Hour number 2 of OutKick, the tailgate presented by Farmfolio rolls on. We are live at 6th and Peabody, Old Smoky Moonshine, Yeehaw Beer. We are rolling for hour number 2. We have a great guest lineup. We have Vanderbilt head coach Clark Lee and his GM Barton Simmons set to join us. Trent Dilfer is going to join us as well. And we open the hour with Andrew East, also former Vanderbilt football player as well. So
let's go Doors.
I love it. We're getting things started off right now. We have tons of drink specials here at 6th and Peabody. Breakfast hot dogs. And
Chad, your thoughts?
I mean, look at this thing. This is terrific. I hope I'm on right now because I'm not hearing myself.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. It's a work of art. I just looked down at this. I'm not even sure what's on top of this, but it just looks very appetizing. This is a Daddy's Dog breakfast dog. I talked to some fans back here. I'm fans of them because they're here right now. David Vanderpool and some other his
ticket
buddies.
holders.
Season ticket holder.
Vanderpool.
OutKick season ticket holder David Vanderpool. He had something that had peppers on it also, which is a bold move early in the morning for a breakfast hot dog. But either way, it looks delicious. And I'm told you get a free one of these when you come by this morning. So we'll be here later than
we gave Andrew one
let's
already.
face it, we'll be here a little later than 11, but our show goes to 11, and you can come by and get a free one of those.
I ate one. I think I'm the only one that. Yeah, it's delicious.
Nice.
Yeah.
You got to go fork with it, right? This is not fork optional. You got to go fork.
Well, I tried without a fork for the first couple bites.
Wow.
And it didn't go well. So
Yeah, that was
I'm surprised I don't have it all over my shirt.
That was a bold move by you.
Yeah.
And the fact you're not covered in it is incredible.
I love it. I love it. We're getting things started here. We're, settling into hour number 2. But I love, we were talking to some offensive linemen a couple weeks ago on the show. You were a long snapper. So I asked the offensive lineman, I was like, listen, you guys are always some of the best interviews, right? Like their personalities have to come through.
Yeah.
As a long snapper. Now, I'm from Iowa. You married Sean Johnson.
Yes.
That's a very big deal in my state.
Yes.
How did the long snapper get Sean Johnson?
I like to think, Jill, that maybe there's more to me than just being a long snapper. I don't
That's
know.
good.
I'm just putting that out there.
I think that's good.
I also just have you're not like lumping us in with offensive linemen as long like it's a whole different ball.
No, I was just saying we've had them on the show. They're very good talkers.
Yeah.
They're great interviews.
Okay. Yeah.
Jill, do you think this man has the body of an offensive lineman? That's what he's saying. Like, have you seen his body fat percentage? This is not offensive lineman.
How many breakfast
body
dogs are
fat
going to have?
percentage,
I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe.
This guy's more like a jumbo wide receiver, smaller tight end than offensive lineman, right?
Yeah.
At least, yeah.
I like to think so.
Yeah.
I like to think I'm a little bit athletic. But we met actually because of Vanderbilt. So Sean was looking to go into school there. And I tweeted at her, believe it or not, and I said, hey, if you need a tour of the campus, then I'm your guy. Unfortunately, she doesn't know much about football. Otherwise, she would be disenchanted with me being a long snapper. But, here we are. We got 2 kids, married. Things are getting serious,
That is shooting your shot right there with the DM on Twitter. Hey, I'll give you a campus tour. But it's funny because she's such a, obviously a great athlete. You said she didn't even care that you were a football player, right? Like a lot of people would care. She had no concern about you playing football.
Yeah, she was kind of past her athletic career at that point, and then she was just looking for, I guess, someone to marry. And then
You showed up.
And then here I am.
Just like you stepped to the plate with that hot dog earlier without a fork. You stepped up when you were needed.
Exactly.
I will say, the long snapper job is quite the career choice if you can get in. Because if you get in the inner circle of long snapping in the NFL, you are set.
Yeah.
Those dudes stay forever.
Yeah. You'd think that the average career of a long snapper is longer. Unfortunately,
Is it not?
I mean, every guy I played with and was competing with had 10-plus careers.
Yeah.
10-year plus
Yes.
careers. I unfortunately had a little rough. I never made it in the inner circle. So
But
I
it's like a
bounced around
kicker or
little bit
punter.
more.
It's tough to get in. But
100%.
once you're in, you stay.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's hard to knock someone off their seat, off their pedestal.
Yeah, it's all about consistency. So as long as you have that, then you're sticking
Yeah.
around. But
So you live in Nashville still,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
So being a former Vanderbilt player and Clark Lee, obviously coming up on the show, do you still follow the program pretty closely?
I'm a huge Clark Lee fan, and I am still a massive Vandy fan. But I am totally bullish on the Commodores in the next couple of years. So let's go. Anchor down.
I love Chad and I love the fact that they hired someone from within the program that knows the program, because that matters. I think if you get here and you don't have the support that you're looking for, sometimes you're looking for a way out. Like James Franklin did great things here, but he was not able to get the things that he wanted, and he left for Penn State. We don't blame him for that. Clark Lee knows the program. He knows what it's going to take, and I think it's important to know just the job that you're up against whenever you take the Vanderbilt job.
Why do people talk about it like it's a toxic situation?
Well,
I
have you seen the stadium?
Yeah. I've seen the lack
You
of
played in
fans.
Oakland. I know you've seen the stadium at Vandy.
Here's what I'm saying, though. If I'm a recruit, and I mean this 100% authentically,
Yeah.
I am either going to Vanderbilt, Stanford, Duke, or Northwestern. Those are my only choices. I don't know why anybody would choose anywhere else. Yes, okay, Bama wins national championships, but there's other things, there's other factors to loop in there. That's how I feel.
Not everybody's a smart football player.
And you got Clark Lee now coaching. He's
Yeah.
a big-time coach.
Bringing Barton Simmons on as the general manager of football is brilliant.
It was an outside-the-box move. I mean, they're very familiar with each other, being high school buddies, but it was a very outside-the-box way of thinking that was the move when I saw that. I'm like, okay, this guy might be onto something because there's not a lot of head football coaches thinking in that direction. I thought that was a really good move. Can I quickly give you my mission statement for Vandy and what should happen?
To me, yes.
So make the stadium even smaller and make it nice. Make it the Cameron Indoor Stadium of football.
Okay.
You are elite.
Yeah.
You are a private school in the SEC.
Yes.
There is no school as elite or with better education than Vanderbilt. Make the stadium small, put the students on top of the opposing sideline, have nice luxury boxes, make it a hot ticket to where it's tough to get in that stadium, to where other fan bases aren't taking over your stadium.
Yes.
Do that. To me, that's the overall mission statement. Make it cool and trendy and exclusive, much like going to Vanderbilt is cool and trendy and exclusive. You do that, and there's no excuse to me for Vandy not to become a Kentucky, for instance.
Yes.
If Kentucky can do it in football, I believe Vandy can do it in football. Am I
I'm
wrong?
jazzed up. No, I'm freaking here for it. Let's make it happen.
I mean, I'm a Tennessee guy and a Tennessee grad, but I feel like I could be AD at Vandy with that statement right there. I'm petitioning for the job right now. That's the goal.
I did a little research. You're a UT fan as well, right?
Well, I grew up a UT fan, yeah.
Okay. Well, over the past 10 years, you know the Vandy, Tennessee record? 5-5. So let's go.
Chad, your thoughts?
Well, let's go for the past 40 years. I love the selective. I saw someone tweeted out, I found this really funny. It was, I just now realized that Kentucky has more wins over Florida in football in the last 18 years than Tennessee does. And I wanted to respond. I didn't. I held back and just say, okay, now do Tennessee versus Kentucky over the last 18 years. I mean, that's a great stat, but okay, it's 16-2 for Tennessee over Kentucky or whatever in the same time frame. So while that sounds great, but you're right. I mean, Tennessee has not been good.
No.
Either, so
I've been doing some power rankings for the SEC towns that we've done OutKick the Tailgate in, and I was getting a lot of flack on the internet because I picked Nashville as my number one city because we've done our one show here. This is our second show here in the great city of Nashville. And I'm with you, Andrew. Like, there's a lot to love about the city. And by the way, Vanderbilt is here, so it's a totally legitimate thing. And we were at the Georgia Vanderbilt game, and that was, hey, we were on Vanderbilt's campus. We were ready to go.
Yeah. What's the city that took the cake there?
Nashville,
Nashville
one. Number one.
Okay, good.
And, and people were like, well, you can't pick that. And I was like, I believe that it is an SEC town, and I for sure can pick it because it's the best one.
The argument, Andrew, it's not that Vanderbilt doesn't count.
It's the town versus city.
They were saying
aspect.
if you're talking Nashville's a huge metropolitan city. It's not a Vanderbilt city. So the argument was it's not really a college town.
Wow.
So if you're ranking college towns, Nashville is Nashville. It's great. Clearly the best place in the SEC, not a college town.
I'm just trying to help you recruit and sell the program.
I'm here I mean, Nashville, it's like the hottest town right now. So why wouldn't you come here? That's
well,
any recruit
I
listening.
told Jill, you have to take Nashville and just set it aside because it's really no competition.
I did. I set it aside
on
the
one.
top.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
The top.
It should be number one, but if you're ranking the towns, like you go to Gainesville, you're going to the swamp, and that's really the only reason you're going, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Nashville's a little bit different. There's something to do around every corner.
Have you ever been to Starkville?
No, I've never been to Starkville.
A lot of people could say that same thing.
Yeah. Tough to get to.
Yeah.
What was your favorite road trip when you were at Vanderbilt?
Oh man, we had
your
so
favorite
many
atmosphere.
Well, we had so
Not
many
Starkville. We can
fantastic.
cross that one off the list.
That was a fun place to play. But I mean, going to Neyland and beating the Vols over there was great. We beat Florida in the swamp.
Yep.
Actually, though, my favorite place to play was South Carolina. Their environment there was like awesome. So that would be top of the list. Yeah.
All right, so Neyland Stadium, we were talking about that all week long. There's a lot going on for the Tennessee Volunteers this week. So we have another social poll question that we threw out this week. Chad inspired this one for sure. So I said, if you had to throw away one condiment forever, throw it away. What would it be? Mustard, ketchup, mayo, or ranch? And well, let's look here. Mayo is what the people online said, 32% leading. So if you had to throw one away forever, Andrew, what's it going to be?
I'm a huge mayo guy.
Okay.
So I think ketchup might actually get the boot.
Whoa.
I know.
Whoa.
I had to think about this. But yeah.
I've got reservations about these choices also. Once again, I need to be, whatever emails are going on, to be looped in on the poll questions. Ranch is mayo-based. So you're crossing out two groups, the same group of people.
Yeah, if you vote for
if
one,
you
you vote
don't
for
like
the other.
mayo, you don't like ranch. So that's you got to cross both
Andrew,
out.
they're different.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they're
Back me
different,
up.
but again, if you don't like mayo, you don't like ranch because it's a mayo-based condiment.
If we took ranch off of this poll,
Andrew hates to agree with me right now, but he's like, yeah, he's kind of right, right?
Yeah,
I have to. You got to keep mustard and ketchup.
You do not have to keep mustard. You know why? The Vols fans threw mustard on the field, and that's the one I would get rid of.
Is
I'm
it
not
bad?
a mustard fan.
For whatever reason, I automatically asked myself as I saw the mustard sitting there, I'm thinking, is there mustard in that bottle, or did someone sneak in something else in the mustard bottle?
They had to have gone up, like the hot dog stand as we have our breakfast dogs here.
Yeah.
Okay, people are throwing water bottles. They're throwing this. Let's go to the concession stand. What do you got? We got a mustard bottle. Chuck it on the field, right? Like, how else does that happen, right? The series of events leads me to believe that somebody ran up to the concession stand and threw it on the field.
But they don't just have bottles of mustard laying around.
I think, well,
I have seen wine in a shampoo bottle at a college game before, so nothing would surprise me.
I'm laughing at the thought process of the guy who decides, you know what, that's it. They didn't overturn the call. I'm going to walk up. What's up here? A mustard bottle? That's it. It's going on the field at that point. Real quick, I want to ask you about this. You played for James Franklin.
I did.
We had an earlier poll question. James Franklin, head coach at LSU, if he were to leave Penn State. What do you think about that possible marriage?
Oh, man. Well, I kind of like it at USC a little better. I don't know. I feel like it's a better look for him. It would be hard for me to see him leaving Penn State. But, I mean, he's had a drastic impact on my life. I'm a huge James Franklin fan, have been since day one. But I would love to see him actually win a national championship at Penn State. So that's how I feel.
You want him to stay?
I do.
Andrew, where can people find you?
Oh, man. I don't know. The internet?
Yeah.
Are you
Andrew
asking
East.
for my address? I'm not
Right.
going to give out my address.
Nashville.com.
Yeah. Andrew East. Yeah, you could, on all platforms.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
Good to see you, man.
Andrew's the new head coach of Vanderbilt football, Clark Lee, and GM Barton Simmons, coming up next on OutKick the Tailgate. Stay with us.
There's never been a more challenging time to be an investor. Your stock markets are overvalued by every measure with record low cap rates. Cryptocurrency can go from boom to bust overnight, and inflation is making everything hard to predict. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just sit back and watch your money grow? That's where Farmfolio comes in. Farmland ownership made easy. Farmland's an asset class that's often overlooked, but it's one that's consistently delivered higher returns than other investments with significantly less volatility. You can buy a farm lot from Farmfolio, and we'll manage every aspect of your farm property, from crop care, harvesting, and sales of your produce through our company-owned packing facilities and international sales offices. With Farmfolio, farmland ownership has never been easier. Simply sit back and enjoy the fruits of our labor. Farmfolio, you own, we farm, you earn.
OutKick the Tailgate, presented by Farmfolio, live from 6th and Peabody with Yeehaw Beer, Old Smoky Moonshine. Jill Savage stepped away. She's grabbing a daddy's dog or something. Chad was talking about getting some breakfast, and she's done that. And we have Vanderbilt head coach Clark Lee. The general manager of Vandy football is Barton Simmons. On a game day, guys, thank you. This is awesome that you guys would join us on a game day morning.
Well, we're happy to be here. This is a great opportunity for us, and what a great morning for some football, huh?
Barton, good to see you, man.
It's great to see you guys.
This is our first chat since you went into the college realm here.
I know. Usually I'm one of you guys over here just giving hot takes. I got to be a little more measured now.
Oh,
seat, you know?
You really went to the dark side. You went. It's weird when Barton goes legitimate, and then we're still illegitimate over here.
Yes.
I'm like, oh well, okay, now you're not one of us.
That's right.
So driving in on with the game today against Mississippi State, are you going through? Do you play the game out in your head on a morning like this as you ride in? Are you listening to music? What do you do?
Listen to music. I mean, it becomes routine, right? It's just a part of your life. This is part of the process, and so certainly I'm thinking about how the game would play out. Certainly I'm thinking about different situations that might come up, but I'm more just excited. I'm excited for the guys to go out and compete, and again, it's a perfect day. So
it is.
Let's go have a blast competing and playing football. It'll be fun.
Martin, you do anything like that?
Well,
you play it out, I know.
But no, listen. I mean, he's got to get his mind right for the game. I'm just I'm just sitting on the sideline as a spectator. But fortunately, this is at least for the home games. We've been having some really good success getting some really good players on campus, and so today we've got some guy. Well, I'll be leaving from here to head to meet with some recruits and
perfect
try to get the next guys on board.
We got Trent Dilfer coming up next. That's a program of interest I know here locally at Lipscomb Academy. And Clark, when you took the job, I'm always looking for what's going to be a little bit different about the Vanderbilt situation and Vanderbilt football. And I thought there were a lot of signs and things you were saying that this is very different than what we've heard before. Then you hired Barton away to not be one of us anymore, and I thought, now we're talking. This is outside the box. This is different. You don't see anyone else doing something like this. We've seen it a little bit in the NFL with guys, who cover college prospects getting jobs. Mike Mayock comes to mind. Take us behind the decision-making process with that and what led you to that move with hiring a general manager for your program.
Well, honestly, I mean, recruiting's the lifeblood. Developing's the lifeblood of your program. And you see so many mistakes made. It seems like so much can disrupt that process, emotion, convenience, and you just want to have someone that's overseeing it, that's insulated from anything external. It's all about, again, how we recruit, retain, and develop our roster. And Barton's experience, to me, was perfect because he's been involved in recruiting, but he's never been a part of a program, so he doesn't really know the inside. He's not going to come and bring a model that worked at another program. We're going to be able to think this thing anew and be outside the box. And I want to do that in everything we do. But he knows the process. He has awareness of what it's like to be a young person trying to make a decision. And I just thought it all kind of combined along with that idea that we're going to take that scouting operation and insulate it and make sure those guys can make the decisions that will drive this program forward and allow us to sustain success.
You guys are good friends. I mean, had you guys talked about this? Have you told him in the past, hey, if I take a head coaching gig, I'm going to give you a ring, no matter if it's Vandy or anywhere else?
We were it's interesting because we go back to middle school,
yeah.
Right? So I think as we got, past each other's weddings and all those kind of things, we kept in such close touch because our professions intersected, and it was just always just kind of broad stroke philosophy around recruiting, around evaluation, and certainly there was always an idea that I would love to have him on board and we would talk about it, but it had to be in Nashville because he's got a family too, and so it kind of all lined up perfectly, and it's been a lot of fun, but also I think great for Vanderbilt football.
I think one of the things, and in some ways, I mean, Clark and I have been following Vanderbilt football since we were 10 years old. And so, and he's always followed it from afar wherever he's been, just through his coaching career, just as an alumnus. and I've always followed it closely. I mean, I covered Vanderbilt directly when James Franklin was here for a few years, and certainly have taken a close interest in it from the media side when I was here. And so I think that's one of the other things that's both with him as a head coach and sort of setting the vision for how to get it done at this place, and then for me to add in how to get it done from a personnel and a recruiting standpoint. Like, I think both of us have some context for what's been successful here, how it's been successful, and what hasn't probably. And so while I feel in a lot of ways that I've got, I've developed through my career some skills to be able to equip me for this job, I think Vanderbilt specifically is probably the job I'm most well equipped for, just because of that. I mean, just because we know and we've seen Vanderbilt have success, we've seen Vanderbilt fail, and I think we're trying to really marry it up to find the missing pieces and fill in the gaps to give it some long-term sustainable success.
Well, and I remember interviewing Barton on our show, the Hutton, over the years, and you were always very diplomatic about it, but you would say, I don't really understand this about what's going on at Vanderbilt under a previous regime in terms of recruiting. You guys played at MBA. That's a natural feeder school for Vanderbilt. It's right down the road. MBA's not always had the same exposure with Vanderbilt, let's say, or interest from Vanderbilt in the past. And I want both your answers on this, and I'll start with you, Coach, on you've got all these other jobs. You've got big jobs in college football. You're obviously focused on the task at hand with the job that you have. But was it always something where when you start to look around the game and you see your alma mater and your program, that in the back of your mind you're thinking, maybe I'll go about it this way, or maybe I'm a little bit surprised this isn't happening right now at that school in the city of Nashville?
Yeah, I mean, we inevitably you're kind of always measuring things off your own experience, and so it was very easy for me to look back at Vanderbilt, both my time as a player and then, like Barton said, tracking the program as I kind of grew and came of age as a coach, and say, hey, this is how I feel like that program should approach X, Y, and Z. You're always kind of plotting a course based off what your experience was, and truthfully, I mean, this has always been a dream for me. You get to come home, and Vanderbilt's a unique place, right? Like, we have a top 15 school. We're stitched in the middle of the fastest growing city in the country, and we play football in the only conference that matters. I mean, this is it. Our niche in that market's incredible. And so to me, it's just, I think any entrepreneur would look at that and say, I want that market. I want to corner that part of that market. It's up to us now to make this appealing to everyone so that everyone feels the energy around what we're building. But certainly, this is something I had a mind for a long time, and we're in the early stages of kind of enacting the vision, but we're excited. I mean, we're excited about where this thing's headed over time, and there's no reason why Vanderbilt can't be as part of the as much a part of the conversation as anybody in the SEC.
I know, Barton, part of your job is to monitor the transfer portal, which is such a big part of college football now. So much attention is paid to guys who leave and guys who go somewhere else, and you're always looking for that next opportunity. I don't think enough attention is paid to those who stay. And there are guys at Vanderbilt that played for a previous coach that probably could have left, and they stayed. They stayed to start to try to build something with you guys. How do you go about honoring that with your team and your players that, hey, this was a willful decision to stay when a lot of other people left or could have left, but we're going to stick through it?
Yeah, I mean, it was easy to leave last year. 21 guys off that roster last year left. And so one of the things I think, and I think Clark would echo this too, I mean, when we got there, man, these guys are starved for the kind of structure that's going to allow them to be successful. And they've been so bought in, and even as this season has progressed, man, it's been so much fun to see these guys continue to engage and continue to get better and improve week to week. And so I've got so much admiration for the roster of the guys we have on campus right now. And the transfer portal it's a temptation, it's a distraction in some ways, and it's a tool that we're going to use. But it's never going to be something that we're trying to find 14 guys on the transfer portal. We're trying to have 10 guys on the transfer portal. Ultimately, we're as much retaining our roster, developing our roster. I've long thought that the transfer portal is a great incentive to being to building strong culture, having a place where guys are get interconnected, want to stay. If you are creating an environment that's transactional, and we talk about that a lot, then you're going to have a lot of turnover. And so I think the more that Clark is able to continue to like lean into the culture we're building and continue to see this team sort of grow together, I think like the transfer portal is going to be a boon for us in the sense that like I think there's going to be continuity on our roster, and we're going to try to use the transfer portal to find guys as we can. But look, we looked for guys this past year as well in the transfer portal, and in a lot of cases there's a reason those guys are there. And so we have to be super intentional and careful about how we go into the portal, who we go after, who we bring into the program, because this is going to be like we talk about all the time. This is going to be a build for 10 years, 15, 20 years of success, not a one-year flash in the pants season.
Stayed in town as you began the stretch run to the finish of the season. What do you want to see from your group as you finish and you begin those building blocks?
Well, we want to win, and I think we let one slip away from us last weekend that was disappointing. We're still developing an identity, and it is a process, and not to get too coach speak on it, but it does take time. But I think what we're starting to see and what we're starting to buy into is this idea that we have everything we need if we can make the competitive decision over 4 quarters, and just be proud of the way we go out and fight for Vanderbilt football, fight for each other. And so to see us to double down on that, we've cleaned up some of the things in our game that I felt like held us back early. Some of the penalties, we played better complementary football last weekend against South Carolina. So we got to continue to kind of buy in and build into those areas. And I really want to leave this season feeling like we have internally established an identity where we know this is the style of football we play, and then we adjust and adapt that as we change our personnel and, again, recruit, retain, and develop this roster.
And you guys almost had it right there against South Carolina as a big underdog in that game on the road. Very different challenge today against Mississippi State offensively from what South Carolina is trying to do to what Mike Leach does on offense. What is the biggest challenge with a Mike Leach offense?
I think patience. It's they're going to throw the ball if they have 70 snaps. We may see 62 passes, and it's not like they're dropping back and giving you a lot of opportunity to hit the quarterback. It's going to be controlled passing game, shallow crosses. If you don't have them leveraged right, they become catch and run big plays. He'll take his shots when he feels like he has them. We have to be able to mix our coverages up. We have to be able to execute our coverages. We've kind of settled into a formula where, stopping the run and making teams go the long, hard way on the field has been successful for us in terms of keeping points off the board. Well, today it's going to be all about how we play coverage, how we leverage the underneath routes, how we cap the vertical routes, and it'll be a challenge. But it's one, as a competitor, you look forward to that. That's what you get excited for. Is Mike Leach, who's certainly an offensive mastermind, is coming in, and our guys have a chance to impact winning based off executing our stuff and playing hard and having fun competing. So we'll be excited to do that.
Clark, maybe you'll let us know, but Barton, I've always wondered what a pregame 50-yard line chat with Mike Leach is like for a head coach. Is he talking Bitcoin and pirates, or is he talking about the game and the weather? Like, who knows? You're going to find out.
It'll be interesting. This will be my first. In 2012, I was at Bowling Green, and I ended up leaving to go to Syracuse after that season. But there was a linebacker job open at Washington State, and Coach Leach and I had a couple conversations around that, and that was fun. And what struck me was the depth of football knowledge and how interested he is in football. So I think as much as he has passion and interest in a lot of places, when you really get down to it, this guy loves football, and so it'll be fun today to get a chance to interact.
But just in case you stayed up on Bitcoin, just so you're ready to go at midfield.
Yeah, he's going to be disappointed in that conversation. That's where it goes, I can tell you.
He'll do the talking.
That's right.
Hey, good to see you. Thank you for coming out on game day. It means a lot for us to have you here in person while we're in Nashville. It's really cool. Barton, congrats, by the way.
Well, I appreciate it. And I'm well aware that we're sort of in enemy territory right now with you two being kind of Tennessee guys. If I'm not,
well, I'm definitely a Tennessee
we're going
guy.
to continue to try to bring you guys into the fold here. And, there's the home city, and before long, y'all are going to be Vandy guys.
I like it. I like it so far. I gave my mission statement for Vandy football earlier and what I think it could be and where it's going to go. And so far what I see, it's got the potential here.
Barton, get it right. I'm a Blue Raider. He's a Vol.
Right.
I'm a Blue Raider.
Yeah, that's fair.
There are a lot of kids wearing orange on MTSU's campus, though, so I understand why you make the mistake there. Good luck today.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Appreciate
Good
you.
to be with
Clark
you.
Lee,
Appreciate it.
Barton Simmons has been our guest. We've got Trent Dilfer coming up on OutKick, the tailgate presented by Farmfolio. But first, Paxton Elrod, what are you doing over at the bar?
What am I not doing at the bar? Of course, I'm drinking, and I'm actually living out my dream and becoming a bartender. That's actually been my backup plan if this whole on-camera thing doesn't work out. And Krista is going to teach me how to make a Titan. How on brand, right? Okay.
Yep. So this is one of our signature cocktails, the Titan 1 On. So we are going to take our 100 proof White Lightning.
Oh, we're going right for it. Okay.
Yep, left hand. And you are going to take your Sour Raz, which is a 40 proof. So we're going to do 1/2 ounce of White Lightning and 1.5 ounces of Sour Blue Raz.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm see you do that, and then I'll.
So you go like this, and then like that.
And we got to pull it up.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to pull it up, but
we
that's
can.
just-
We're just like, oh yeah.
Yeah, very casual.
We're just.
There you go.
We are. Look at
Ooh.
that. Wait, we need more White Lightning.
A little
Should we
more.
that's fine. That works,
It's
right?
perfect. The stronger, the better.
Yeah.
All right. So up next, we're gonna take our blue curacao.
Okay.
Just a little splash. Okay.
Just
Ooh, that was a little too much.
Just a little splash.
Yeah, yours is way better. Mine's gonna be sweet. Okay. This is our sour mix. It's an Old Smoky. It's our own recipe. It's actually white duck. So we're just gonna go 1, 2, 1, 2. Perfect.
We're in Nashville, so you have to sing the things, right?
Sing everything.
Exactly.
And then you're gonna take your soda gun.
I've always wanted to use one of these.
Perfect. Do you wanna go first?
Yes. Okay.
So Sprite.
And we
And just fill her up. Right, beautiful. Okay? All right, and then to top it off, we're gonna take a 100 proof moonshine cherry.
Oh, that's casual. Okay.
Casual. Tongs.
Yep. Because we're sanitary here.
Yep. And plop it in there.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so we're just let's do two because
let's do
we're
two because it's a strong drink.
feeling frisky.
And then
aren't we?
we got to do a lemon. Here is your lemon.
Okay. And we
Just to garnish it off.
Look at that. If this
Beautiful.
whole on-camera thing doesn't work out, I think I have a future as a bartender. Cheers.
Cheers.
Love it. Guys, I'll bring you some of these in a little bit if y'all are down for that.
The strong version.
The strong version, because I'm not going to lie, this is incredible.
If y'all are down for that, as if there's any question, Paxton,
Bring
of
it.
course, we're
I
going
know
to be
you guys.
needing some of those as well. Thanks, guys, by the way, for letting me go take a break, get some Daddy's dogs, some breakfast hot dogs here at 6 and Peabody. And now that we're back up here, we're ready to go because we have Trent Dilfer with us, also local high school football coach now.
Yeah.
Trent Dilfer, that's how we're going to introduce you. Lipscomb Academy got a big win
Yeah,
last
big win
night, right, Coach?
Yeah, how about replacing one good-looking bald guy with another guy?
If you didn't know Trent was a coach, listen to his voice right now.
Yeah, last night was pretty intense. We had a great community win, played a rival team that beat us down pretty bad in the state championship game last year. So it was a good test for us. We responded well, and we continue to get better, so we're fired up.
How much fun are you having, coaching?
I don't know
it
if
seems like you're having
fun's
fun.
the word. I get asked that a lot. I was retired. I was living in Texas. I had 5 60-inch screen TVs. I watched football on Saturday and Sundays. I talked for 38 minutes on TV on Mondays, and then played 218 rounds of golf in 2018. Kind of sounds like the American dream, right? I left that to have 115 kids and their parents and everything else. So I wouldn't call it fun. I would say it's the most rewarding thing I've done outside of raising my kids and being married for 29 years. I have fun game nights. It's not fun. The lonely work that you do to get these kids prepared on and off the field is intensive. And I have great coaches, great support staff. We run it very much like Clark and Barton run Vanderbilt. We run it we run it like a Power 5 because we want to give these kids all the resources to be successful in life, and football is a byproduct of that. So there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes, and it's exhausting, but incredibly rewarding.
I've had the fortune of calling one of Lipscomb Academy's games locally, and I know Max Hers and Josh Corey had this last night. A buddy of mine, Trent, called me and said, you have to hear this stat. This is the best stat you're going to hear all week. And I heard it on the high school broadcast. I said, what is it? Apparently, your quarterback, Luther Richardson, has the highest completion percentage of any quarterback in the NFL or college. Is that actually true?
Yeah, I think it's the highest completion percentage in the history of high school football also. He's at 83.
What a salesman.
He's at 83%. He did throw his first interception last night. Going into the game last night, he had more touchdowns than incompletions. But he'll be the first to tell you that's, again, a product of everybody. Our receivers do a great job working, catching the ball. Our backs out of the back. We utilize everybody. That's one of my offensive philosophies. So, we'll have 7 guys catch the ball in a game. The offensive line, his protection, he's only been sacked 4 times the entire year. So we do a lot of things. I'll say this. We build it around the quarterback. So the entire program is built around the quarterback. And everybody goes, why do you do that? Because he touches the ball every play. Now, it's not built around him so he can be a prima donna. It's not built around him so he can be a narcissist. It's not built around him so he can go get Power 5 offers. It's built around him so we can be better. And that's a huge burden to play quarterback for me, and they know that. And Luther Richardson is the finest young man I've ever been around. I said, this is my walk-off on him. I played with 11 Hall of Famers. When I was on TV for those 9 years, I basically studied great players and then talked about them. He is the hardest worker of any football player I've ever been around or studied, and I'd put Tom Brady on that list. I'd put Ray Lewis on that list. I'd put anybody on that list. Luther Richardson invests as much into what he does as anybody because he knows the burden, which is playing quarterback for me. Mm-hmm. And he knows the whole thing goes based on how the quarterback handles the job.
I want to transition that, how you handle quarterbacks as the head coach, and you see everything through the eyes of a quarterback because you also were a quarterback, and ask you about some head coaches in college football that are quarterback guys. I want to start right down the road with Josh Heupel at Tennessee, the rare head coach who also calls his own plays right now as an offensive coordinator, former quarterback, known as a quarterback guy. What have you seen from him and how he works with his quarterbacks and devises a plan around that?
He's done a great job, and I think Alex Golish is his guy I'm impressed with as anybody in college football right now. The way they work together is pretty unique. I love how they've come in. They haven't come in saying, hey, you need to go to UT because we're UT. They've come in and made relationships. It's going to be really interesting between Barton and Clark and Hype and his staff competing after the same guys, kind of the same philosophy. They're relational. They're about development. They're about fit. They're not just going recruiting the star. They're recruiting the kid, the family, kind of what I call true talent, which is the intangible makeup of a human. So it's going to be really interesting how that unfolds. I'm a big fan of both. We want our kids to go both those schools. But Hype specifically, how he gets the most out of whatever quarterback is playing for him. They're going to play a certain way. So they're never going to compromise how they play offensive football. They believe in tempo. They do it as good as anybody. Limited volume, repeat plays, keep teams on their heels. It's a great philosophy. It works for a lot of people. But you then have to craft it around your quarterback's skill set. And I think Hype's been able to do that with a bunch of different types of skill sets. He doesn't have to just say, hey, I need 6'3", I need athletic, I need big arm. He can do it with whoever. So I think it's going to be a really attractive place to go play quarterback for a lot nationally, to be honest with you. Everybody in Tennessee goes, oh, okay, well, who's it going to be? I'm like, well, they're going to be able to recruit Texas. They're going to be able to recruit Ohio. We know who those kids are through the Elite 11. I think UT is going to be one of those marquee programs where people are coming from all over the country to go play quarterback for them.
You mentioned Elite 11. You've been working with quarterbacks for forever then, right? You're a former quarterback yourself. You see all of them that are up and coming and that are the top guys in college football every year. How has that changed from the quarterbacks that you started with at the very beginning of Elite 11 to where we are now?
Yeah, I've said this forever doing the Elite 11. I think it's 11 years now. I'm just trying to teach them not to make the mistakes I made. So, I have a life of being a quarterback, and I've tried to pour in the things I've learned, lessons from playing it, lessons from studying it, to help the next generation be better on and off the field. I think what we saw 10 years ago was you didn't have the biggest, baddest dude on campus playing quarterback. He might have been playing inside backer. He might have been tight end. He might have been wide receiver. I don't know. But he was the biggest, baddest dude. He grew up. He was the guy who was first picked on every sport, right? He was that guy. Well, now he's playing quarterback. And he's playing quarterback everywhere in the country. And we go around, and we have 14 regionals in the offseason, and we evaluate about 700 to 1,000 quarterbacks. And you see 70. That's the number I kind of use. 10% are better. 70 of them are better as 17-year-olds than I ever was in my NFL career. More talented, I should say. I mean, you got kids everywhere, kids you've never heard of, kids that have 2 stars that will show up at a college campus, high school campus for a regional and do things with the football and look the part and are good kids. They're engaging. They have leadership skills. And you're just like, what is going on? So when I see college kids not have success, that's the one that bothers me, because there's a lack of development in the college game of the quarterback position. Can I segue myself?
Absolutely, yeah.
You're a TV star. You can do this.
This is your segment.
I'm going to bring somebody up that's really changing the game, and that's Jordan Palmer. What happens in college football, and please college coaches listen to me, you hired your quarterback coach not to coach your quarterback. You hired him to help you with XO. He's probably a great recruiter. He's probably really good at XO's thundercloud and breaking down studies and doing all the things you do as a position coach in college football. You know what he's not good at? Biomechanics. You know what he's not good at? Probably relationships. He only gets 20 hours with this kid. I developed because there was no 20-hour rule. I spent 50 hours a week with Rich Olson, who recruited me and then went and coached at University of Miami, won national championships in the NFL for years. Jeff Tedford, oh, by the way, I was the first of his 6 first-round quarterbacks. So he knows a little bit about development, right? We spent hours upon hours upon hours studying the game, working on fundamentals, getting my body right, lifting the right way, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't happen anymore. So you see these 70 kids that are uber talented, that have NFL potential, that you see as 17-year-olds, and they go to college, you never hear their name, or they jump in the transfer portal, or they throw too many interceptions, or they get booed out of a stadium, and you're like, he was no good. No, whoa. He had the stuff. You didn't get the stuff out of him. And what Jordan Palmer's done is Jordan Palmer's built this consulting business where now he can go in and one of our Elite 11 coaches that started with us, he can now be the supplement to what your quarterback coach can't do. Probably can't do it because he frankly doesn't have the skill set to do it. And I know that's going to ruffle a lot of feathers, but I'm around coaches. I've been around coaches forever now. There's a lot of bad coaches. There's a lot of terrible coaches when it comes to handling the quarterback. But really don't make that his job. Go get a guy that knows how to get the most out of each one of these quarterbacks. And now the state of quarterbacking in college football will be way better. That's all we've done here. Right now, I'm doing it, right? But I go hire guys that are completely invested every day in making sure that we get the most from our players, and that they're given the most. And it's frustrating. It bothers me, and this is why I went on this long deal, is because I hurt for those kids, because I see them, I get to have relationships with them, I'm rooting for them, I know where they go to college. My wife and I sit there on Saturdays. In fact, you're killing my Saturday right now. We'll sit there, I'll have my sweats on after I deal with the team, I'll have my sweats on, I'm game planning for the next week, I'll work to about midnight tonight. And I'm watching those high school quarterbacks that I saw when they were 17-year-olds. I'm going, that kid was so much better if he just would have been handled well.
Is there a specific example that you think of when you talk about this right now?
I don't want to use names.
You saw a player at Elite 11 and say, man, I wish you would have gone somewhere
What's
different.
going on with DJ right now at Clemson? That's probably the most egregious thing I've seen. And I love Dabo, and I'll probably get a phone call. DJ's gotten worse.
And that was a shock. But that was shocking when you go from Trevor Lawrence to him and you're thinking you're going to keep it right on going, right?
Trevor got worse mechanically. Trevor has completely changed from the time he left Clemson to what he is now in Jacksonville. Completely retooling. Now he's so...
For the better? in Jacksonville?
Yes, much better. He's so talented, and they were rolling so much that he got away with being sloppy. He'd be the first to tell you, get Trevor on the show. Say, what, as you went to the pre-draft process and you looked at yourself at Clemson, and now you see yourself now, what are the differences? You go, oh my gosh, it's night and day. He's like, I had no idea this is what was happening to me. So, and it's, again, I don't even know who the quarterback coach is at Clemson. I couldn't tell you his name. It's not his job, right? But colleges need to do a better job of understanding it's a craft. Do you let a golfer with uber talent that can hit 292 off the tee, turn it right to left, left to right, hit 195 yards, 7 irons, right to left to right? Do you let that guy, when he's a junior in high school, not have a golf coach? Not have a swing coach? You just throw a bucket of balls out and say, bomb them. Go shoot 68. It's stupid. I mean, it's just a stupid way that college football's fallen into, of saying, oh, you were good at 17, so you're just going to keep getting good and you're going to be fine and everything's going to take care of itself. No, a quarterback is very much like a golfer, needs daily attention at every detail of his development. If he's not getting that, you're not going to get the most from him.
You have the NFL draft war rooms where you always hear about the GM or a coach or a scout just pounding on the table for a guy that no one else believes in or that he thinks is underrated. When you worked with Elite 11 and all these quarterbacks, can you recall a specific guy that you thought wasn't getting enough love that maybe turned out to be the quarterback that you thought, working with him, that you thought, this guy's got something, I can see it, I'm surprised more people can't see it? And maybe it's your quarterback right now at Lipscomb Academy.
We have a lot of them. I mean, David Blau was a kid we found out of Texas, had 0 stars, ended up going to Purdue, having a great career, and then still playing the NFL. He's with the Detroit Lions right now. There's Davis Webb, 0 stars. People thought I was crazy. He had a good career in the NFL. I mean, I'm talking about backups right now. Well, talk to me about a starter. There's other guys. I think 80. Yogi gave me this number. I think last year, 88% of Power 5 starters went through Elite 11. We're close to like 22 starters in the NFL. You're getting me early after a big win.
Yeah.
My brain's
that was a good example that you had to start. That was great.
It's pretty common. Luther's not underrated. Luther hasn't gone and done the recruiting tour. Like, offers are given because you go and you take your spring and summer and you go to their campuses and you get loved on, they get to know you. And Luther said, no, I'm going to get better. So I don't want to miss a Wednesday lift. I don't want to miss a Saturday workout day. I don't want to miss any of that stuff. I want to get better. Luther's going to be able to go play college football wherever he wants.
All right, Trent, since you are a big TV star, you can transition yourself into different topics.
Go to a break?
I'll let you send it to break too later, but we aren't there yet. We have a Farmfolio Fact or Fiction. This is our favorite segment that we do every weekend. So our first fact or fiction is Lane Kiffin should stay at Ole Miss for the long term.
Yes, fact.
I agree. Lane Kiffin can be Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss.
Yes.
He can't do that at Alabama or LSU.
Boom.
I'm saying fact also, because let's just try something different. He's bounced around a lot. Let's try sticking with one place and see how it goes.
Do you know I recruited Lane at Fresno State? Jeff Tedford put Lane Kiffin and another quarterback up on the screen. I came back after my rookie year or second year, and he goes, I'm going back between these two quarterbacks. Which one do you like? This kid's from Minnesota. This kid's from, I think, Texas. I went, oh, that kid's a better player. It was Lane. And he blew out his shoulder, never really was a quarterback, but immediately Jeff started training to become a coach. And then Monty, his dad, was my defense coordinator in Tampa, so then Lane came out and was the ball boy. So there's my Lane Kiffin story. I got more, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Lane hates it when I talk about him because he knows I know where all the bodies are.
Oh, that's so good.
What was Lane's comp as a high school quarterback, as his style as a high school quarterback that really drew you in?
He was the gritty, semi-talented, tough as nails, get a completion, run for 4 yards on 4th and 3, just hyper-competitive grinder. Very, very middling talent.
Up next, Caleb Williams will lead Oklahoma to the college football title game.
Title game?
Right. Not just the playoffs, but Oklahoma actually has to win one when they get there.
I love Caleb fiction, but because their defense is better, I still don't think it's championship pedigree.
They scored 107 points since he's been the starter, and they had like 75 in the previous 3 games combined before they named him the starter. He's got it, but it's not just about him. right? They win out. They're in the playoff, and you're talking about will they win one game? They're playing Georgia or Alabama in that scenario.
Exactly.
Fiction. It's still prove me wrong. It's Georgia and Bama. They're both going to find a way to meet each other in the national championship game.
And they'll find a way to pair them opposite.
Yep.
Yes.
They'll be. Yes.
We'll get it.
Lastly, Cincinnati deserves a playoff spot if they win out. Fact or fiction?
This one's so hard for me. Deserves? Like
Yeah.
my personal opinion. Fiction. They're really good, but they're not SEC good.
There's too many other factors with this. Oklahoma remains unbeaten. Ohio State, I think, wins out from here on. Like, I think they're the best team in the Big Ten. As I watch them play now, they're coming together. There's too many things, Chad, that go against Cincinnati when you come up with the 4 at the end. And especially if Alabama beats Georgia in Atlanta for the SEC title.
That's the one that I'm thinking at. And then again, there just has to be common sense. Who are the 4 best teams?
Yeah.
And listen, I can say this in this part of the country because I'm not from this part of the country. I'm a California kid, then Texas. I was a Pac-12 kid growing up, Pac-10 back then. SEC is a different league. It's just a different football. And if you argue against it, you're just showing your ignorance. They're bigger, they're stronger, they have more resources. Now you're going to find other schools that can fit into that. Your Clemson's, there's some ACC schools. You're going to find your outliers. But it's just, we do it. This is what we do. We study football ad nauseum. And it's just such a glaring difference when you're studying Bama and you're studying a Pac-12 team. You're like, or a Big Ten team. You're like, this isn't even close.
I struggle with the word deserve like you did, Coach, on that one. I'm going to say fact. By the system, they deserve to be there because they're currently second, and they're not going to lose, and they're going to continue to win big. So, fact, they're going to be there. Do they deserve to be there in that they're one of the 4 most talented, best teams in the country? I'm saying fiction of that, but they're going to be there. So I'm saying fact. By the system in place, they deserve to be there.
You went fact, fiction, fact.
Yes.
That's really good.
I cover my bases. Yeah, I've got to make sure.
He's not a lawyer, but
I should have done more in that.
Yeah.
I should have done more in that ESPN. My Twitter wouldn't have blown up as much.
There it is. That's a wrap on this week's Farmfolio Fact or Fiction. To learn more about farmland ownership, contact Farmfolio at farmfolio.net/clay. I mean, I don't know. You can take it to break if you want to, Trent, but I can still do that myself.
I can take us to break. Trent Dilfer talks too much, goes on tangents, and got 3 hours of sleep. We'll be right back with more from him.
OutKick the Tailgate. Stay with us. Hour number 3 up next. OutKick, the Tailgate, presented by Farmfolio. Hour number 3. The show is flying by, and we have a very special guest. 50% of the greatest duo of country music.
Yes.
Ever.
No doubt.
Kix Brooks.
Wow, thank you. You probably haven't heard of Merle and Willie, but
listen, I'm not that old, so I'm giving it to you.
I'll take it. I'll take it today. Thank
Listen, it's an honor to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Great to be here. Honored to be here, man. I'm a sports fan, and you guys are great at this. It's fun,
Look at this
fun
shirt.
listening.
Look at this shirt.
Yeah, let's see this.
How about my La Tech Bulldogs? Homecoming today. Go get them, dogs.
Kix also, when he showed us the shirt the first time, Hutton and I were immediately intimidated because I'm like, my gosh, this guy just threw the chest out at us like the pecs are out.
Spend enough time in the gym, you can have one of these.
He was asking where the weight room was.
Kix has a weight room at his vineyard in Arrington. It's a secret room.
That's it. Drink and work out. That's my motto.
A little wine.
Yeah.
A little workout.
A little wine.
That's
Very little workout.
That's what we call balance.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the scales get out of whack, but you can imagine which way.
And it's great when we do the show at a moonshine place here at Old Smoky where we get to have a nice cocktail in front of you when you arrive.
It's delicious.
It's refreshing.
I know.
It's refreshing.
I mean, it's not even 5 o'clock somewhere right
now. Not even close. No, not even close.
Close enough for me, though.
Let's go. I'm in.
How you been?
Good, thanks.
It's been a while. So the last time that Chad and I hung out with you, we were at a fight night.
Yeah.
And now we're here sharing moonshine, talking college football.
That's right. Yeah, somebody's getting beat up everywhere.
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Can we get someone here to put the gloves on when we're done here so we can watch them just to recreate that night? Maybe someone will be willing to do that.
It was good. That was fun. This is fun, though. Yeah.
We're going to do picks later. Kix is ready to go on some of these picks against the spread with FanDuel, Jill. But he is a massive Louisiana sports fan. Massive.
Well, with the Louisiana Tech shirt, we know where your allegiances lie. There's no question here. But LSU has been in the news this week with Ed Orgeron. They came to the agreement that he'll be out at the end of the season.
A very expensive agreement.
It is an expensive agreement. Do you follow LSU as well?
Of course.
Do you consider them kind of like a sub team that you cheer for?
I think that's a good way of putting it.
Number one, obviously on the shirt.
Absolutely. I'm a Tech grad and really pull for him. Really proud of my Bulldogs, and we play hard in the USA. Got a tough game today against an undefeated opponent, but it's homecoming, and there are a lot of pretty girls in Louisiana, and our boys know what winning means, and it's. The school being proud of you.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, absolutely.
What are you laughing about?
What?
What was that little chuckle down there?
That's a bad homecoming opponent if you're playing an unbeaten team at homecoming.
So it's okay. We got a great team. Tech is. We started out 1-3 with. Losing. Well, we lost to Mississippi State in the last second. Field goal thing, and we just had a couple. One of those teams where. We're really better than our record shows.
I'm really interested in kind of the politics of sports in the state of Louisiana.
Yeah.
You're a La Tech guy, but you're okay with LSU.
Yeah.
LSU people have a weird thing about La Tech, about Louisiana. I know it is Louisiana Lafayette, but Louisiana now.
Yeah.
UL Monroe.
Yeah.
What's the rooting interest like? Are people, La Tech people okay rooting for LSU also? Or is there some sort of divide between all those programs in the state?
I don't think most LSU fans really care that much about small colleges in the state. And small colleges in the state have a lot on the line, a lot to root for. We're growing programs, and our facilities at Tech, for instance, are amazing. And we actually played LSU year before last and gave them a good game. So that's really good for the state. Obviously, there's a lot of money involved when you have television with a big college like LSU. But, when I'm in Nashville and whatever, people aren't talking about Louisiana Tech. It's SEC football around here, and they're talking about LSU. So, and I'm proud of LSU and being from the state. I actually, I've talked to the team in the locker room underneath, and had at LSU. I remember out there with Les Miles, arm in arm. Said, "Come on, let's go sing the alma mater." I go, "I didn't go to school here." He goes, "It's okay. It's up there on the scoreboard." It's like. I've been drinking and I can't read.
He's thinking, you're a professional.
He goes, just hum along,
Just go with it.
Who is the bigger La Tech legend, you or Terry Bradshaw?
Ooh.
I think Terry would probably have to win that one, and we could not be better friends. We still do a golf tournament together. You guys ought to come play with us. Raise money for the athletic department. Have a great golf team and a beautiful Fazio golf course down there that we like playing on. So I love Terry. He's just he's a circus on fire all the time. And just my favorite nut and a great guy and a great supporter of our school.
How good of a golfer are you? Like, do you really want us out to tear up a course with you?
Absolutely. Let's go gouge it up. I mean, that's
so we can be bad and still have a good time with
Oh,
Kix
heck
Brooks.
yeah. Let's go. Yeah.
There's some.
Because I can be bad and still have a good time with Kix Brooks. I love being out there. I love golf. I was fairly legitimate. I was kind of a real kind of 7 handicap when I was touring and playing every day. Now I'm kind of a cripple 14, It says 12, but, it's really more like 14.
So you would play on tour every day. That was your go-to?
Yeah, I mean, when you're out there, you gotta do something. And so, yeah, you get up in the morning, golf's waiting for you. Get that lined up ahead of time. You play golf and come home, eat some lunch, take a nap,
It's like a kicker in the NFL, Chad.
Exactly. Go sing some hillbilly music.
Is it important to have the guys
like Andrew East that we had earlier?
Or a long snapper. There you go.
Is it important to have the guys that you play golf with on tour that every time, like, hey, I need these guys around me because we're going to get 18 in the day of the show?
Different cities, yeah.
It would be great, but honestly, you would think everybody would play golf, and they don't. It was kind of lame. Dirks and I played some golf. He liked that, and Jack Ingram, way back, toured with Vince some, and of course, he can kill you.
The man.
He's a great golfer.
Yeah, he's a really good golfer. But but regardless, I'll tell you the funnest I ever had on tour was we did a whole tour with ZZ Top.
Oh wow!
And Frank Beard, the only one without a beard who plays drums. We'd jump on his bus every night. We'd wake up at a golf course. We'd run to the first tee and just tee up. Never saw a driving range or anything. We had a rule, and we bet every day. But we had a rule. It was automatic 2-putt on the first green. After that, game on. Yeah. But it was fun. We played a ton of golf together, and he's a good golfer.
All right, so you're talking about all these SEC cities that you guys have been playing in. You're also the host of American Country Countdown.
Yeah.
So we've asked you if you wanted to put together your top 5 of your SEC tour stops. That you have those great concert memories. Does anything come to mind?
You mean to help you out here? I've got the list. The highest rated cities.
Well,
for
go
ACC.
ahead. Go ahead.
So number 5 in the country.
Yeah.
For the SEC.
Right.
Tuscaloosa.
Tuscaloosa is obviously rocking. I mean, Alabama's rocking. We just played the Wharf down at Orange Beach. I mean, Alabama fans are Alabama fans. They're just, we're neighbors. It's South Louisiana's the same way. It's just nuts. The food's great. It's a lot of fun. I really like all those locales down there where formal dress for women is a tank top, and it's always a good time.
Formal dress.
Before we get back into this list, because I want to keep hearing this, do you go full Kenny Chesney on tour where you just endorse whatever team you're around? So if you're in Tuscaloosa or Birmingham, do you give a Roll Tide even if you don't really mean it? Because Kenny Chesney took some heat from Vols fans, supposedly being a Vol, putting on a Florida Gator helmet with Tim Tebow and, doing the fight song for other schools.
Yeah.
Do you go all in just for the audience wherever you are?
As far as I've ever gone with that is humming the alma mater at LSU.
Yeah, that's it.
And my dogs didn't get too mad for too long, But
I respect this.
No, I would
respect
not be
this greatly.
I would not be putting on an Alabama helmet, and they can Roll Tide, and they're in the SEC. I do always pull for the SEC. But, Alabama's got to do their own thing, and I really appreciate their fans coming out and singing with us. That's all fun, but sports is different. I mean, that's a different thing. You just don't go, I don't know. Kenny, what'd he do?
Kenny
does it all.
I'm a fan of Kenny Chesney, a fan of the music. I'm a fan of the fact that I think that he's a Tennessee fan at heart, but he's been known to play to the crowd wherever he is. He's put on a Florida helmet before. He's done some different things that I'm not agreeable to.
I will say this. When Ronnie and I were touring indoors, so we played hockey arenas almost every night. Well, I'm from Louisiana. I didn't even see ice till I started drinking cocktails in college or something. And I know absolutely nothing about hockey. I mean, since the Preds have come to town, I've been to some games. I kind of got a little bit of a handle on it. But I did put a different jersey on every night at a hockey arena for the encore. And people go crazy, you know, and I'm like, I don't know who this is, but I'm glad y'all are so excited.
Someone just hands it to you,
no
put it
harm,
on.
no
It's like,
foul. I
great,
know
yeah.
nothing about hockey. Sue me. I don't know.
From Tuscaloosa, number 4 for American Country Countdown, Gainesville, Florida, the Florida Gators. So
Yeah.
we mentioned, you know, Chesney with the Gators.
Yeah.
Gainesville.
I'm not a Florida football fan, but I can, in all honesty, and anybody that's seen us touring down there, I freaking love touring in Florida. It was one of our most fun runs every year. We'd kind of, you know, we'd hit Tampa, West Palm, Orlando for sure, and then we'd pick up those other markets, you know, from year to year, you know, skipping years and whatever. Man, Florida just rocks. They party hard down there. I love it.
Knoxville, Tennessee, WIVK.
You know, gosh, can we? Yes, had great times in Knoxville. I actually played the football stadium with Kenny one year. I love Kenny, by the way. We're great friends. Even I don't know what kind of helmet he had on. We need to talk about that.
I doubt he did the Florida Chomp in Neyland Stadium when you
yeah.
guys did that
Yeah,
show. Just
probably
when he's
not.
elsewhere, he'll do that. Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, yeah, but
Playing Neyland had to be awesome.
Well, this game though is concerning to me. Yeah. So, you know, it's like this. It's like so. Last week we started throwing stuff. Okay, this call anyway. we see this call. Did any of y'all think that was a bad call?
I did.
Looking at it?
Well, I thought I'll say this. I thought the initial spot was bad.
Yeah.
I think the actual play was 50-50. I think you
Yeah.
could have. I think if they would have rolled it a first down on the play, it would have been a first down. And where they rolled it,
where he had the ball tucked.
Yeah.
Again, and I was all for Tennessee here, but because I'm here, same thing. I'm pulling for SEC. I'm pulling for Tennessee, and especially I'm not a big Florida fan. We kind of have the same kind of role there. But anyway, so I wasn't necessarily. But then we have this throwing episode, you know, and all this stuff, and you know, so they're having this conversation. Now, this is the one I'm curious about. They're having this conversation, so it's like, okay, so what happened again? So there was cans and there were bottles, and Kiffin got hit by a golf ball. Okay, that was a big deal.
Range ball.
Kiffin, you know, it's like you saw him. It was like one of these.
He reacted.
He reacted. Okay, and so what are we going to do? So this is one I would love to have been. So $250,000. Where did that number come from?
And where does it go?
And who came? Well, so I was expecting. I was really curious what's going to happen, you know. So it's like, okay, we got that, and then of course these kids. They found some of these kids on video and whatever, and some of them they're in big trouble, you know. They're going to get suspended sentences and things. But then it's like, but how are we really going to punish these guys? And it's like, I know. What? It's like, we'll make them play Alabama. We will make them freaking play Alabama. They are on their heels. They got the band mad at them. They've got the cheerleaders mad at them. They all had to go inside. We'll just put Alabama.
Put Bama on the
that's
schedule.
And just turn them loose.
I'm thankful Chad wasn't there that night.
Yeah. Have you ever had a concert that you had to end early because of unruly fans at the concert? Because there was talk at the time. Are they just going to suspend the game, you know, in the 22-minute delay, or are they going to keep going? Have you ever had to make that call mid-concert?
There was a time, you know, back there when I didn't have quite as much gray in my hair and it was kind of, we had a couple of Elvis moments where fans actually took over the stage and came running up. You know, you had a jumper here, a jumper there, and both your security guys kind of had their hands full, and then they recognized that. Next thing you know, cymbals are getting thrown over and stuff like that. And it's like, I look at Ron and I'm like, maybe we should leave.
Do you say that on mic or away from it? Maybe we should end this.
Just kind of back out and go, you know, God love you, and pat you on the rear end, and y'all have fun tonight.
Oh, by the way, the top 2 markets, Lexington and Nashville. Go figure. Nashville, Tennessee, number 1.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy playing here, or do you get so many ticket requests that it's, you know?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Yeah, it's the hardest one to play because our office is completely overwhelmed. You know, and you know that's not something you complain about because people care about you and they actually want to come to your show. And so that's great. But yeah, it's the management of playing Nashville, you know, has its problems. And man, we played New Year's Eve for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years in a row at the Coliseum. It was kind of a built-in, super fun. We've always had Nashville's a great music market. It's funny because when I came to town here in '79, it was the first place I'd ever been where I couldn't make a living banging on my guitar. You know, Broadway wasn't even there.
Not
you know,
even
there were a couple of
close.
porn shops down there. It was just nasty.
Yeah. No one believes that now, by the way.
No, and it was Bluebird was the only place I played. And, you know, I had one of those movie kind of stories where somebody actually saw me playing and there became Garth's manager and got me my first publishing deal. And that's actually kind of how it worked. But you didn't make any money doing that. You know, you begged and auditioned and whatever just to get a chance to play for nothing. But anyway, it's rocking now, though. But it's always been a good, because the whole peripheral, all the fans around here, you know, it's just a good country area. And Kentucky, same thing. Yeah, Louisville, Lexington, all up there. That's all great place for us.
I'm going to set Kicks up for this story because it's incredible, and I learned it not too long ago. So I think it was Reba. You're playing a show with Reba.
Yeah.
You and Ronnie and Reba start the show on stage together by like coming out of the ceiling, right? And then you were swapping up. So Reba would open, you were closing that night. But
Correct.
The next night, you would open, Reba would close.
Right.
The Yankees.
Co-headlining.
The Yankees were playing the World Series.
No, not the World Series.
ALCS?
Yeah, I'll have the championship, national championship.
You open the show, and then you're able to go watch the game. Paul O'Neill hits a walk-off or something, right, in the ninth, and you make it back just in time to start your set.
Exactly. Yeah.
That is okay. So time it up for us.
Well, you just gave the whole.
Well, no,
story.
no, but hang on.
Jesus Lord.
Kicks, you know.
Let me tell your story, and then
What
you
can
can
we
tell.
do?
and then I'll
I got
let
this
you
great
tell
story
your
I want you to tell. Here's the full story.
Thanks.
Now
You tell
react.
jokes, and he gives the punchline.
No, here's the best part,
and all
Kicks.
that. Is this fun? Is this how you guys work?
Ronnie's reaction to your reaction vastly different.
Well,
this night.
Well, of course, but I mean, it was weird. Everything he says is true because the concert Coliseum, like our Bridgestone, and the baseball park are linked together. So we go down a trap door as Reba stays on stage to do her hour, and I'm met by my huge Yankee fan, tour manager, and when he goes, you gotta go, and of course I got my flame shirt on and everything. He gives me a jacket. I mean, I'm in full Kicks Brooks regalia. We go running down this hallway and walk out into a baseball stadium in like the 6th inning.
Love
and
this.
Just an hour's time enough. Well, as it goes on, like you say, sure enough, the Yankees are like 3 runs behind, bases are loaded, O'Neill's at the plate. I'm looking at my watch literally 5 minutes before we go up a trap door to do our part of the show. I go, we got to go, Baha. He goes, we got to see what happens. Bases loaded, full count. O'Neill rips a freaking grand slam. All right, we go tearing down our Baha. I jump on this bed, slides me down to where Ronnie's waiting under the stage. And he looks at me, he's like, WTF? I'm like, what? I'm like, you should have seen what just happened. It's like the trap door opens, we go popping up. I'm a hard-working man. You know?
Did he legitimately point to the clock, his watch when he got there?
He's furious, and you know, he finally got to where he could sing after 2 or 3 songs, as he was still spitting at me. But I'll never forget how strange it was looking at those Cleveland fans.
Yes.
Going, I wish I could tell you what just happened, but I really want this to be a good hour, you know. Yeah.
Kicks, the second telling of that story was better than the first.
Oh, I knew it would
Good
be.
job.
Could it be any worse?
Just making sure he remembers it. I got the details for him. I have the bullet points for Kicks Brooks. You're back on tour with Reba in Vegas next month. No,
yeah.
December.
December, yeah. Yeah, I think first through the 19th, and ending 5 years of running Vegas with her, and she really. Ronnie and I thought we were done in 2010. We'd been 20 years at it, and thought, man, that was a good pull, and time to go live our lives now. And Reba's like, come on, y'all, let's go to Vegas. So,
you don't say no to Reba.
No, you do not.
Is Vegas more fun than the actual traveling tour when you get to have a residency?
It's not more fun. It's different, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, I love throwing dice. I do that every night, and it's really cool to have all your stuff set up in a place. The Coliseum at Caesars is amazing. The sound is. I mean, you know, you see as we all got these ear monitors in, you know, and headphones and stuff. We just pull that stuff out. I mean, singing in a room like that where it's just like, wow. Even I feel like I can hear myself sing. You know, It's really cool. So that's neat. When you're on tour, they're basically building a house and tearing it down every day. So it's not that everything doesn't work, but you have a new sonic environment every night. And it usually takes 2 or 3 songs when your eyes aren't crossed and you're just getting your bearings out there. So that part of it's cool. Totally different. Great fans everywhere. And it's a lot. Vegas has changed a ton. When we first started playing Vegas, it was kind of a stare job out there, you know, and people were wondering who we were and stuff like that. But now everybody's playing.
Britney Spears, Lady Gaga, everyone goes out there.
Acts in the world.
Shania Twain's done a lot there too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, she played there, I guess, before we did, yeah.
Is there one song that's on the set list that you're like, I can't wait to get to that one each
Red
night?
Dirt Road. I think that's my favorite song Ronnie and I ever wrote together, and we've done a cool arrangement that's kind of a mix of the reboot album we recently did where Cody Johnson sang it, where we really broke it all the way down, and we kind of kick it in the middle back into our old record, and I don't know, that song says a lot about where we both come from. It's one of the few serious moments we ever had talking about our lives and what meant something to us, and kind of made it rhyme in the right way.
Well, and you both wrote it together, right?
Yeah.
So it means more for that reason too, instead of just knowing that you were someone else was in a room to help you write the song. It was you and him.
Yeah. And we wrote a bunch of songs over the years.
Oh, I know. But that's my favorite too.
Yeah, thanks. That one I like.
I love it. I could just listen to this all day long.
So you mentioned the album.
I'm glad you're here for this, Jill. This is great.
I was going to say,
you're welcome that we invited you to Nashville this time. Yeah, it was hit or miss, and you're going to be here, but you're welcome.
Artists that you collaborated with on this new album, you mentioned Cody's on the
reboot.
Song. The reboot.
Yeah.
Did artists fight over the songs that they wanted to sing on with you?
We really politely eliminated ourselves from that process. Our manager was really responsible for asking the acts that he asked, and Dan Huff produced that album, which over the years we really were very involved with the production process of making our records and whatever, and it was the first time we really kind of turned the music over to a guy like him. So a lot of the acts that are on there are acts that he was producing, by no means all of them, but probably half of them. So a lot of it I'm sure Dan suggested, and then once the act said they'd like to do it, then we say, what song would you like to do? And so it was always their choice.
First come, first serve.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Got to respond to that email quickly.
Quick.
Don't let that sit.
Like Casey Musgraves had been doing Neon Moon for years.
Yep.
And she had that LSD version of it that she does, which we thought was really cool. And,
it sounds awesome.
And she just said, she says, okay, I've got to bring my band in to do this my way. And I go, well, get on over here. Is that a threat? Or
You're not scaring me, is what you're saying.
Is something bad about to happen? Come on, Casey. She's a real pro, too. She's really cool. It's funny. She invited Ronnie and I to sing it with her at the Ramen. So we went over there, and she said, okay, guys, here's what I like to do. I like to kick off the song first and then bring you up like after the first verse, and y'all could stand right here, and then y'all sing it with me. And we're like, great. So she goes, okay, we need to run that down one time. I go, great. So she starts singing it. Ronnie and I are backstage talking, and somebody taps us on the shoulder. Y'all need to get out there. We go, okay, yeah. So we walk out there. She gets done. She goes, okay. She goes, y'all, this is really important. I go, I know. She goes, could you please come out here when you're supposed to come out here? And would y'all mind? Because I really want you to stand here. We have it lit in a special way. Because I just want this to be great. And we go, I know. Okay, we'll be right back. We'll try it again. It's like, and Ronnie and I are we've just never tried very hard.
You're more accustomed to winging it than that.
We get a tour together with Reba. She's got little red and yellow and green little buttons all over the stage where she's going to be at certain parts of the song, and she'll spend 2 weeks just grinding, rehearsing for a tour, and Ronnie and I spend 10 minutes trying to figure out a set list.
And you're ready to go.
What?
And you go play.
What was the moment where you were like, I cannot believe I'm in a room with this guy or this woman from country music of the past, when you first started versus where you are now? Because you're one of those that I'm sure artists now you're in a room with, on stage with, that they're thinking that, like I'm on stage with Brooks and Dunn right now. What was that moment for you coming up?
Man, there's, there's a lot of them because I would say Cash and Haggard probably were it's a tough split. I do remember, I was such a geek and I'd gotten all my heroes, there's 7 of them, to sign my guitar. But I didn't have Haggard, and we were doing a festival that he was on. And I just, such a little chicken, whatever, I gave my guitar to my tour manager and said, would you go over to Haggard's bus and see if he'll sign it?
Oh, you wouldn't ask him? You couldn't?
I just couldn't. And he comes back with my guitar. He goes, he said he'd be happy to sign it and get your ass over there. I'm like,
I love that.
Yeah. It's like that scene in The Wizard of Oz when Dorothy's going to see I could see him back there on his tour bus, and it's just like, getting closer and my heart's beating. He's like, hey, man, what's happening? Let me see that guitar. He's like, that plays pretty good, What do you do? Where are you from anyway? He totally just, took the air out of my balloon that was
Where's
about
the guitar
to
now?
pop. And I have it at the house. I play it all the time.
Wow, secret room. He doesn't want us to know.
Secret room? No, you won't. No.
Not
We'll never see
You
that
don't
room.
need to go poking around in
Sorry.
my workout room on the second
That's right.
floor.
Yeah. It's in the weight room.
Obviously, he spends a lot of time, man.
The
We
weight
know he's in that
room.
room a lot. Just looking at him. I mean, he's clearly been in that room a lot.
Speaking of
Never skips a chest day.
teams that are going to get deflated, we're going
Yes.
to jump into our picks
Do it.
against the
Yes.
spread, powered by FanDuel, because Chad, Tennessee Vol. We're going to start there. They are
Okay.
at Alabama, number 4 ranked Crimson Tide. They are 24.5-point favorites. It's not going to be an easy weekend for Chad's Tennessee Volunteers.
Is Nick Saban still alive and coaching the Alabama Crimson Tide? As long as that answer is yes, I will never pick Tennessee to even cover a spread against Alabama. I think Hendon Hooker helps. If he's healthy and can run, it's really going to help Tennessee possibly score some points. They're not covering today. They're losing, and I don't think they're covering against
Who do you have,
Alabama.
Kicks?
I've already given you my take
Oh, okay.
on that game.
Yeah, you're taking Bama. I'm taking Bama as well, Jill. They had to defend Tennessee had to defend Ole Miss for 101 plays last week, and this secondary has not been tested with the Vols since Kenny Pickett at Pitt. This is a different story this week with how they're going to throw it against them. I'm taking Bama. I'm laying the points.
Up next, BYU, 3.5-point favorite at Washington State.
This is a slam dunk for me, given Washington State's head coaching issues this week. BYU is too easy. Like, it's almost like only 3.5. But I'm laying the points. I'm taking BYU and the Cougars.
Do we have the John Gruden exit performance we saw from the Raiders with the new coach today? It's a very different circumstance because you got a coach in Washington State who's fired for not taking the vaccine and a mandate with state employees in Washington. Crazy story with that. BYU is 2-3 weeks removed from being in the college football playoff hunt. They've fallen off since then. But I think they get it done today with all that uncertainty with Washington State.
Well, BYU's lost their, last 2 games,
Yep.
so I think they're going to be a little bit fired up this week. Can I ask you a question, though, because I haven't dug this deep in that one, and I know he left and why he left, sort of, but it was for religious reasons, but why wouldn't they accept that? Because I think, why wasn't his religion strong enough to make that play?
I don't know. The story goes that he said in a press conference he applied for a religious exemption from the vaccine, but it was denied. I don't know what the exact claim was.
There was a Seattle Times report that said only 7 religious exemptions in the state of Washington were actually approved, and the number is almost 4,000 people that applied for it, and 7 got approved.
And it's not just him; it's 3 other assistant coaches.
Assistants
4
as well.
coaches are fired for this.
I want them to play well, but I'm just not. I wouldn't put my money on
You would
it.
think something that high profile, though, if religious exemption was a real thing, a guy like him wouldn't ask for an exemption unless it was really legitimate under what are those
Well, and it's
religious
October.
rules. That's
They've been
the part
playing. They've been playing. This is not something that happened at the start of the season.
Okay, I guess
you
we
know
could
it's
spend all
weird.
day on that.
You know what I
No.
immediately think, Kicks, when I see that story? I think, boy, this would never happen in the SEC.
Yeah.
If there was a head coach in the SEC, that guy is getting whatever exemption. I don't care what state he's in, Republican, Democrat, whatever,
Yeah.
that football coach is getting the exemption, whether or not
Gotta win.
Brian Harson's not vaccinated.
That is our head
and he
coach,
talks
and we're
about it. I
sticking
mean,
with
I know
him.
there's no
Praise the
mandates in
Lord, pass the
Alabama,
football.
but I'm thinking I immediately see that, and I'm like, if I'm a recruit, I look at Washington State and say, well, you guys don't really care about football because you're firing your coach for this. So
Well,
that's where my mind goes.
We're going to stay in the Pac-12. Utah at Oregon State. Oregon State, the Beavers, half-point favorite in this one.
I'm taking Oregon State minus the points in this. Look, Utah's offense is better with Rising. I get it. I'm taking Oregon State. I like what I've seen from them since they knocked off USC earlier this season.
Because I love Kix Brooks' opinions on the Pacific Northwest and these teams so far, I'm going to be very brief with this.
Yep.
Give me the Beavers. I like Oregon State this year. I think they get it done and they cover.
So Utah leads in sacks, I think.
Yep.
In that division, I think they got 12 sacks, as I read somewhere. But I know Oregon leads in sacks allowed.
Well, but
So this is going to be a trench that's going to have to puff up and change that scenario, I guess. I'm going with the Utes.
Well, Utes could be the Pac-12 South champ.
that's
if they
right.
went out.
Having worked in the Pac-12 for like a decade,
Yeah.
you're spot on.
Oh, Jill knows.
And also, congrats
Thanks, Jill.
congrats on doing more research than I did on that
Yeah.
game. So well done on that. I picked this game as one of my top 10. I'm like, I know both,
I'll bet them.
I know both mascots.
Yeah.
That's my knowledge of these teams right now.
Up next, number 16, Wake Forest, 3.5-point favorites at Army.
Chad?
The Wake Forest
This is your offense.
unbeaten dream season ends today. Wake Forest loses outright to Jeff Monken in that triple option attack for Army. There it is. Army gets it done against Wake Forest.
Well, this is going to be a struggle. Like, this is why Tennessee bought out Army.
Yeah.
Wake Forest is about to find out why that happened because they're having to play them in the middle of the season. And Wake Forest at number 16 in the country, -3. Army, though, has only scored 30 points in their last 2 games. Wake Forest is going to put up some points today. It's going to be a struggle for a while. Wake Forest covers at the end.
You are at West Point. You have got. You know what that place looks like with a pack full of those about to be fired up soldiers. Those guys are not going to go out on that field today. What they've won like their last 10 in a row at home. Wake Forest, bring it on in there. Our boys and gray and blue and our military pride is going to shine today, no doubt. Our Army all the way.
I love it. I love it. We're going to Big Ten country next. Wisconsin 2.5-point favorites at Purdue. Don't even go there.
Go
Chad.
ahead, Jill.
Don't even do it, Chad.
Oh, Purdue had a pretty good week last
Thank
week.
you.
Last time I remember. I'm going there. All
I'm
right.
an Iowa Hawkeye.
Coming off the
It was rough.
destruction of Iowa last week, Purdue has a letdown today. I like Wisconsin in this game. I like Wisconsin getting the 2.5 points here. I think Wisconsin's going to go in and beat Purdue today. I think Purdue had their one big moment of the year. They seem to do this annually. It happened last week. They get beat today by Wisconsin.
So Purdue's averaging less than 16 points per game over the last month. Wisconsin has been turnover plagued this season. I would bet that they are able to just hang on to the football for once, and they win this game and win it by more than 2.5.
I think there obviously could be a letdown because last week was amazing. But they got more strength in the air than I think you're giving them credit for right now. I say they get it done.
We have different versions of amazing for Purdue and Iowa last week. But
okay, well,
that's all good.
Can I bet the over-under in this game instead of the spread?
Yeah, under.
Under.
USC at number 13, Notre Dame. This game's good every year. I don't know if it's going to live up to the hype this year, but the Fighting Irish favored by 6.5.
Chad, this was one of the tougher games for me to pick because I don't think Notre Dame's not playing that well. Like, they're favored by 6.5. I think that's too much. Southern Cal has already fired their coach, so, what do they have to lose, right? They're finishing out. Plus, it's on the road, night game. Because of that, I think the atmosphere plays into it some. I pay attention to USC Notre Dame for the rivalry, right? The old school battle.
Yep.
But I would take the home team simply because they're the home team in this matchup with not much else on the line.
You say, what does USC have to lose? I immediately look at USC and say, what do they have to win?
Well,
they don't have a coach. There's no direction right now with that program. They've got good talent still at USC. Notre Dame knows their coach. It's Brian Kelly. He's good. He's been pretty good in big games. This is somewhat of a big game, I guess. It is in prime time on NBC. Give me Notre Dame minus 6.5. I also had a hard time picking this game because I think that USC on paper is the better team from a talent standpoint, but I think Notre Dame's got more direction and they win.
I think the points are creepy. If I was a betting man, I would not take Notre Dame. But I do think I think they win this game.
Are they in the green unis, Chad?
I hope so.
I
don't know. I've not seen, but I hope so.
I mean, they got beat by Cincinnati, and who hasn't? And I just think I think the Leprechauns are pissed today. I think
if they're in green, they're definitely going to be pissed. That's my favorite Notre Dame uniform.
Fired up. Maybe they'll score some points.
Chad talking about teams without coaches. LSU at number 12, Ole Miss. 9.5 points for Lane Kiffin today.
I'm very hesitant to take anything on this game, especially the points, much like Kicks didn't like the points in the last game. I don't love the points with Ole Miss. We don't know how healthy Matt Corral is. He rushed for 195 yards last week against Tennessee, and he got popped repeatedly by that Tennessee defense. He left the game late in the game. That last, whatever that was, rollout on 3rd and 10 where he slipped and fell, looked like a guy who could not move at the end of that game when they had to punt back to Tennessee. I'm taking LSU and the points. I think Ole Miss wins, but because I don't know the full certainty of health of Matt Corral and how mobile he is, I'm going LSU in this game.
Given the high-powered offense of Ole Miss and the circumstances with the head coach at LSU with Coach O, you would think this spread would be steeper than 9.5. At least I thought so whenever this spread opened. Vegas knows. Vegas knows something. This is too odd of a number for me. I took the points. I'm taking LSU, and I'm also sitting next to Kix Brooks, who's about to take the Tigers as well.
Yeah, the Louisiana man. What do we have on this one?
Shit, well, for one thing, I think
they did it.
Oh, we got some LSU fans behind us. All right.
They're Tech fans.
That's right.
Hold on. Have any of you girls partied with Ed Ogeron? Please, show of hands. Who here has? No one? Okay, good.
I'll tell you what, I think, honestly, the Coach O thing is going to be a positive for these guys. And I've gotten some inside baseball today from some boosters that are.
You've got sources.
Excuse me, from some boosters that are boosters plus one, if you know what I mean.
Yes,
they are inside baseball, and they really said the attitude. The tension's been building about this Coach O thing, and it's over.
Yep.
You know, we have a resolution. The word I got was the kids are really, really fired up and loose and fired up. And I don't think you can necessarily underestimate Johnson. I mean, he's got 20 touchdown passes.
Very good.
You know, he did. And I was just, what's our running here? You know, and Davis, he's got 287 yards.
Set a record.
Yeah, in the last game. I mean, 287 yards.
Ran all over
y'all
Florida.
aren't even mentioning this.
Ran all over Florida.
Yeah, I think.
Give it to him. Let him have it.
Ole Miss's defense is bad too. I mean, this has shootout written all over.
Exactly. There's a Kiffin O friendship rivalry here, and I think LSU actually does get it done today. That's not just fan talk there. I'm a Tech guy, okay, but
did you see
watch
LSU
these
play
Tigers.
Kentucky?
Yes, you know, we could do that all day. Who hasn't beat?
Well,
who hasn't beat?
that's
Who
what I'm
hasn't beat?
thinking
Who
of.
hasn't beat?
I remember the
That's
bad-
why anything can happen. So I'm going with LSU.
Well, LSU.
I should have asked these girls how many of them partied with Lane Kiffin.
Well,
that'd have been a real test.
Joey Freshwater.
I think two of them just left. They ran out once I mentioned Lane Kiffin's name.
I love that we tell Kix that he's coming on and he's going to do picks with us, and he comes with sources.
Oh, yeah.
This is perfect.
Well, you had to make a few calls.
Yes.
There was also a
Gotta
call to
prepare.
a Notre Dame insider too.
There you go.
Yeah, and he was like, I don't know. Could be
Flip a
anybody.
coin.
Yeah.
Flip a coin, kids.
No,
We go to the Big 12 next. Number 9, Oklahoma State at Iowa State. The Cyclones, not the ranked team, but at home, favored by 6.5.
Oklahoma State has found a way all year. It's hard to say. The numbers favor Iowa State. I think the Cowboys continue to find a way. I really do. Their defense keeps them in games, and can their rushing attack get going against Iowa State's defense? I think this is a great game. I can't wait to sit down and watch this later today at 3:30 Eastern, because to me, this is the top game on my list, because I want to see what Oklahoma State's all about, because I think they're the worst of the unbeatens right now. They can prove a lot against Iowa State.
You know, Iowa State feels like they've sort of righted the ship after some early struggles. We saw that loss to Jill's not so good Iowa team
Thank
also
you.
that was not good for Iowa State. I'm with you, though. I like Oklahoma State. Jalen Warren, since they've inserted him as starting running back, they've been really good. He had a big week last week, a breakout game against Texas, and that win. Defensively, they're really good. Give me Oklahoma State in this game. I think they cover. I think they win at Iowa State outright.
You know, it's it's one of those things. I get a little creepy on teams that, like you said, find a way to win.
Yeah.
I mean, they're undefeated, but they have found a way to win. I think today, you know, what Iowa State, they're averaging 33 points a game, but that's because of a couple of blowouts, which anybody maybe they would say could have. So I think they get it done, though. I think today maybe they don't find a way to win.
Listen, if
That's
Iowa has a
Oklahoma
bye week and Iowa State loses, it's still a win for Iowa. Number 10, Oregon at UCLA. We're going out to the Rose Bowl. The Bruins favored by 1.5 points.
I mean, this is a coin flip game for me. Vegas is basically saying that with this spread. UCLA favored at home by 1.5 points. I picked UCLA because I think UCLA can get the ground game going against Oregon's defense. So I took the Bruins.
Mario Cristobal is taking a very SEC approach to what he's doing at
SEC
Oregon.
coach.
Yeah, he's doing that to prep for the LSU job,
Yes.
as we all knew. I don't know that you can necessarily do it at Oregon when you take that approach. I think it needs to be a little bit different, but it's worked so far for Cristobal. Shocking that I say that right now I think Oregon is the tougher football team and more hard-nosed than LSU on both lines of scrimmage. What UCLA did to LSU is not happening against Oregon. Oregon wins outright at UCLA tonight.
Are y'all familiar with Kayvon Thibodeau?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So you know Thibodeau.
You know a bunch of Thibodeaus where you're from.
Yeah, they're every other person.
Yes.
So, you know, I'm not betting against a Thibodeau. I mean, they haven't done a ton since Ohio State, but I think today it's like you're going to have emotional letdown or whatever. I think, but they still played hard, and I think they really suck it up and show what they can do.
Did you see their Oreo uniforms?
Yeah,
at
like
Oregon?
an Oreo Blizzard. It's like white with black dots. It's almost like Dalmatian-like, but
but smaller.
But smaller.
It's
Do you
terrible.
like that?
No,
you don't.
It looks terrible.
No,
It's one of those who
like I said, it's terrible.
They've really tried everything, and this is all. You know what I mean?
What do we got left?
Yeah, this is it. Looks like a Sonic Blast.
In 2 weeks, they'll unveil their Butterfinger-inspired uniforms.
Exactly.
We're just going through all
Exactly.
the
And the last game on the slate, Clemson at Pitt, 3.5 points for Kenny Pickett, who might be one of the best quarterbacks in the country in Pitt.
Chad, Clemson's offense has scored more than 19 points against a Power 5 opponent one time this year. How does Pitt not outscore them in this game? That's what I think when I see this line at 3.5. And Pitt can now become the measuring stick of their conference. And they can eliminate Clemson from even challenging for the conference in October. I'm taking Pitt minus the points.
My head says Pitt, and Pitt's going to win going away
Pick it.
in this one.
Pick it.
My gut says Clemson. I'm going with my head on this one. And quite frankly, I'm going with, how about Trent Dilfer earlier calling out Clemson coaching staff for their handling of DJ, the quarterback there, and how Trevor Lawrence got worse in his time at Clemson. And now clearly the offense has gotten worse. I'm going with Trent Dilfer and his take from earlier. I'm going with my head. Pitt wins. Pitt covers.
And I think, to me, I've never been a Clemson fan, but I think Clemson and LSU have a lot in common, where they had great leadership behind the center, and they both kind of got sophomore sort of teams in a rebuilding process sort of feeling thing, and I don't see them beating Pitt today.
Hail to Pitt. Hail to Kix Brooks for being here. Hail to Paxton, who is going to be bringing us some drinks right now. So we couldn't let you get out of here.
Krista as well.
Yeah.
Krista's here from.
Good, because I haven't had a sweet drink today.
That's right.
This is the Titan, guys.
Titan.
So,
Oh, the Titan. Cheers.
yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers,
Everybody.
fellas.
Cheers.
One
Appreciate
more.
you, brother.
Thanks for hosting
Cheers.
us in
Cheers.
Nashville,
Cheers.
Thanks,
Tennessee.
ladies.
Yes,
Appreciate
of course.
that.
That's delicious.
Yeah?
Is that not great?
And what way?
I
Why do
made
you have
2
that
of
look
these.
on your face?
It's so good because I want to because I know I still have to wrap up the show, but I want to drink more of this.
Yep.
That's the deal.
This is Kix' Gatorade, is what this is.
I mean,
kinda
it
looks
kind
like
of
it.
does taste like it.
Stick
So
around for the after show where Jill
enjoy.
will chug just
Yeah.
great.
That'll work out, yeah.
She signs
Yep.
up.
Yep. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Nashville, Tennessee. We will come back anytime. Kix Brooks, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. Been great hanging out with you guys.
You're the man.
All right.
See you in Vegas.
Good deal. Let's do it.
All right,
Come
that has
on.
been OutKick the Tailgate presented by Farmfolio. We are going to the cocktail party next week, Georgia, Florida. We'll see you there.
Enjoy the games.
We'll be drinking there too.
There's never been a more challenging time to be an investor. Your stock markets are overvalued by every measure with record low cap rates. Cryptocurrency can go from boom to bust overnight, and inflation is making everything hard to predict. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just sit back and watch your money grow? That's where Farmfolio comes in. Farmland ownership made easy. Farmland's an asset class that's often overlooked, but it's one that's consistently delivered higher returns than other investments with significantly less volatility. You could buy a farm lot from Farmfolio, and we'll manage every aspect of your farm property, from crop care, harvesting, and sales of your produce through our company-owned packing facilities and international sales offices. With Farmfolio, farmland ownership has never been easier. Simply sit back and enjoy the fruits of our labor. Farmfolio, you own, we farm, you